right, here we go. Welcome back to another episode of the Uncivilized Art Podcast. I'm your host, Bumi Hazan, but I go by Bandit Haze in the online space. And today I'm joined once again by cosplay extraordinaire Celeste Orchid. And we're going to be talking about Willy Wonka, Charlie, all that, Wonka. Willy Wonka. I know it sounds funny when you say it like that. I know, but we're going to talk about the movie Willy Wonka, not the other
I'm
Willy
not
Wonka that you might
talking
have been
about
thinking.
just Willy in general.
Yeah, that might come up. We'll
Willy
see,
Wonka.
but that's not the plan. But we're going to be talking about. I guess we mainly could be talking about the Wonka movies, which is Willy Wonka at the Chocolate Factory, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and then Wonka. Talk a little bit about the books as well, which are Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Charlie and the Amazing... No, that's not it. Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator.
There you go! Give him a round of applause!
Got it. And maybe just a little bit about the play, which is also called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But before we... Oh, and yeah, we're going to get into some spoilers a bit later on as well. So here's your spoiler warning for now. But before we get into all of that, Lady Celeste, how you been? What you been doing? What's been keeping you busy? I mean, I know we talked a little bit about it before, but
Well, at the time of the podcast now, I'm 35 weeks pregnant. And it's been difficult not being tied down to a bed and just being exhausted because I'm in the later stage of my pregnancy. So it's just been phone games and laying down. I know I can play my Switch, but I'm just like, man, that's a lot of brain power. I'm going to turn that off. But when I get a good burst of energy and I don't have my first son around, that sounds rude. I do still play like a quick game of League of Legends. So,
man, that game has got you, hasn't it? They practically own you at this point, though. Let's be clear. Like League of Legends owns you.
No. So I haven't been able to play the last 2 months, and then it was only this week that I've been able to play, which is nice. And that's because I was so focused on my business. Like every weekend in April, because it's May when we're filming this, I had 4 conventions back to back to back with my small business. And it was just kind of like, hey, I can't be playing games. I need to focus on inventory and quality control and making sure I have enough goods. Well, that's still inventory. So I didn't have time to play games. But now I do, and it's very nice. But yeah, League... I'm not an advocate for League. Do not start League. You can watch the show. You can watch the games. Do not start playing League because it's always changing. They're always having updates, new champions, blah, 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 skins. It is a very time-consuming game. And it's like, if you already started, okay, keep playing. If you are new and someone's telling you to start, slap that person. You don't need to start that. There are other things you can do, like go outside, water plants, see the birds. Oh my God, that's something else that's weird. Okay, so weirdly, the last 2 weeks, I've found a new dead bird on my property in different spots. It's not even the same spot. So it's just like these birds are just dying on my property. It's like different types of birds too. So I've had magpies, sparrows, crows. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's been sad.
Okay, just dead birds. Just like that sounds like something out of a movie or something. Like what's that Hitchcock movie? The birds or something. It's just like it sounds like something like that. You're just like walking out and there's just dead birds.
Yeah. So like one of them. I don't know. I was asking my husband about it. I'm like, should we be concerned? Should we be calling animal control or something? Like, this seems really strange. But to be fair, we have we don't have that many trees, but our trees are inhabited by quite a bit of bird families. So maybe there's like a bird turf war going on right now. And I'm just like,
gangster birds. Okay, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, oh my
selling
gosh.
the seeds on my turf. Nah, you
I'm
can't do
like,
that,
oh
fam. You can't
man,
do
do
that.
I
Now we
need to
got to
bust
get
out
them.
the popcorn and watch this? Like, oh gosh, oh my goodness, like that Owls movie. But anyways,
Nah,
so
he's from
that's something
Sparrow
that's been
6. Nah, we
on.
can't have that. We can't have that. Nah, we got to
I
roll up on
know,
them,
right?
man. We got to roll up on them ops.
So I found a new little bird today. It was a small sparrow, and it was just like bleh, like dead. There was nothing wrong with it. There was no like attack. There's been other birds that I found. I think the lawnmower got them, so I'm
Oof,
sorry.
yeah.
But they looked dead before they got hit by the lawnmower, so I can't answer that. But it's just kind of sad. I'm like, oh, that's sad. I like birds. I think birds are fun. Would I like to own one? That's a good question. But I would get a set of lovebirds. That's what I would like. Because they're cute. Have you
Is
seen
that
them?
like are they called lovebirds or is that like a nickname? Like, let me see here. What are
No, it's
lovebirds?
it's kind of a nickname. So let me see. They're like a type of parakeet. No, hold on. Yeah, okay. So they're a type of parrot. They have the red face and their body is green with the tips of their wings are a little bit
Oh, yeah.
uh black. I think they're so sweet looking. At the same time, like if their mate dies, then they die. And I'm like, oh, I don't feel good about that. Yeah, so they have pair bonding and they like sitting together. And I just think it's nice because then they have a friend, they have someone. But when that someone dies, it's really sad.
Oh. So we have
So,
spent
like,
about
as much as I
10 to
would
15
love to
years.
have a lovebird, I don't need it. Like, I would not. But they're cute. I like those the most. Now, if
Yeah.
it's possible, I would like to own a peacock.
Peacocks are quite big. You have to put them in a garden, I
Yes, they
guess.
are.
And
They're like
they
a
kind of,
they're like a chicken size.
yeah. Yeah, we used to have,
Well, if you get a peahen, they're chicken size, and if you get a peacock, they're bigger than chicken size.
well, chickens could be quite big as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, chickens could be, they can grow up to about 60 centimeters in height. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's quite
And
large.
my neighbor has chickens, so
Oh,
it's funny.
nice.
Every once in a while, I hear like, quack, 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 quack.
What, hens or
But
roosters?
if I had, if I wanted to get a chicken, I would get a silky chicken. Have you seen those?
What's a silky chicken?
A silky chicken is a very hairy version of a chicken. Well, feathery version, should I say?
Oh, wait, I think I've.
Even their legs are covered, so they're like
Oh,
fully
yeah.
dressed peacock chickens. And I think, like, I didn't know they existed until I had this one classmate. She's my friend. She's like, "Oh, we can't have cats and dogs in our house, so instead we got a chicken." I was like, "Oh, what? You got a chicken?" And she's telling me this in Danish. And so I'm like, "You got a chicken in your house?" She's like, "We used to, but then we moved, so then we got rid of the chicken." I was like, "Oh, did you eat it or something? Like, that's kind of normal, right? But it's your pet. So, like, what do you do?" And
Mm,
she's like, "No,
why
we
not?
couldn't do that. But this is what the chicken looked like." I was like, there's her two boys, her husband, chilling there on the couch, holding this white chicken, but it's a silky chicken. And I was like, that doesn't look like you eat that. What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, just
You
pluck the
probably
feathers, be
could.
fine. Or fur. Because it's more fur than feathers.
I guess. I don't know, but it's like a fat chocobo, but from
Ah,
Final
yeah,
Fantasy.
because yeah, I can see that chocolate. Yeah,
And
I'd
ever
say
since
that.
my friend showed me that, I'm like, I need a black and a white version so it can
Yeah.
breed a gold. If
You
you
know,
played Final Fantasy VII, the OG, like you'll get it. But I'm just like, oh my god, what a freaking chicken! Never
I was
thought I
thinking
would
it'd
want
be
a
a good
chicken
idea
my
to
own
have
ass.
chickens myself. Actually, I mean, I won't do it now because I don't really have like the space for it. But I feel like one day I'd like to have like maybe like two chickens, like two hens, and just like have them lay eggs. The thing is that because I was actually looking into this, and to do it properly, I mean, I guess I could do it with the space I have now, but the problem would be things like foxes and stuff coming in and that kind of stuff. So like to do
Oh,
it
do you know how to
properly,
date?
No, because well, foxes can they can either burrow underneath the fence or climb over.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so you'd either have to have something that's high enough, and maybe have like the barbed wire stuff on the top so they're not climbing over that. And also needs to
Huh.
go under the ground as well, so they can't burrow underneath it. So there's that. And also have
Oh.
to consider like chickens can actually fly. Like they typically don't, but they can, right? So they
Yeah, they can
can.
like hobble fly, but they're not like sparrow crow fly.
Yeah, they're not flying long distances, but they can fly relatively high up, like to about 10, well, not say high enough to get over a fence if they want to, so unless you've got like
Uh-huh.
a really, really, really tall fence. Like, but they can actually
Right.
fly up to about 10 feet off the ground. Um, and I think the longest recorded flight is about 40 feet across. So, like, they don't typically do that, but they can.
Right.
So, just to avoid things like chickens getting out and running across the road or whatever, you ideally going to want a pretty high fence as well, but then you obviously need a place
Mm.
for them to, be so they can kind of go in, do whatever, sleep, make sure they're protected. And also you have to look out for things like rats, because once you start feeding them, rats are going to look to get in to try and steal like the chicken feed, and they
Oh my
steal eggs as
god!
well, so like, yeah,
Speaking of rats,
there's a lot to consider.
I found a rat the other day. No, it wasn't a rat, it was a mouse. It was like this big, so it's pretty small. And I was trying to answer the door. I left my office where I'm at now this time, and this guy's like there. And I was running across my driveway while pregnant. And all of a sudden this little like literally that sound like ran across, and I screamed so hard because I've never seen a wild mouse on my like ever. Like I've never seen a wild mouse, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, "Ah!" And he was just like looking at me like I'm retarded. And I was like, "Dude, there was a fucking mouse on my property. Like I've never seen this. Like, you know." Some people never see mice unless they're at the animal store or something. And I'm like, this is the first time I've seen a wild mousy mouse. Mickey
I
Mouse lives here
mean,
now.
you should. If I live in London, so we see rats all the time. Like it's a thing.
But it wasn't a
You
rat.
see
It
it,
was a
yeah.
mouse. It was a
Mice,
small little
rats.
brown.
You can tell the difference between a mice and a rat, by the way. Like, not, I don't think a lot of people know this, but there's the difference isn't the size of the creature, like, because you can get really small rats or really big mice. But to tell the
Right.
difference between a rat and a mouse is actually to look at the tail. So if the
The
tail,
length.
if the tail starts off thick, then gets thinner as it goes along, that's a rat.
Yeah.
If the tail starts off, say, thin and just stays the same throughout, that's a mouse.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah. See,
difference
that's what I have.
is the tail. So yeah, look at the tail. If it starts off thick and gets really thin, like a long triangle type thing, that's a rat.
Right.
But yeah, you
Nope.
can get
Do not have
you
that.
get big mice, you get small rats. But yeah, I mean, London, you see them all the time running around, like rats, mice. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's crazy. I've been to London so many times, and I've only seen a fox,
Oh yeah, we
like
get a lot of
literal
foxes
red
too.
fox.
We get a
But
lot of
I've never
foxes.
seen a rat or a mouse in London, which is
Foxes are
crazy.
probably
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to be fair, a lot of the rats and mice are mostly underground, so you generally don't see them as you're just walking about. But yeah, if you're in a train station, or maybe if you're near any kind of place where there's like exposed food, where they might be looking to eat something, you'll probably see them around
Mm-hmm.
there. Like we used to have the bird feed in the garden, where put like the
Mm-hmm.
thing up to feed the birds, but as they pecking it and it falls to the ground, rats were coming and trying to eat the scraps off the ground. So you see them at the back of the garden,
That
just
makes
running
sense.
in, and and it's like, that's a bit close. That's a bit close.
Yeah.
That's a bit
No one
close.
doing here.
So yeah. But yeah, I guess they're mostly underground, so you don't necessarily see them all the time. But they're pretty common enough to see them. Like, yeah, if you're near like a what you call it, like a lake, not a lake. What you call them? What are things called?
But yeah, that's what I've been
Water.
up to. Yeah.
Near water.
That's been
Lakes,
the last things. No, not a lot of games,
canals.
but League
Yeah.
I do sporadically,
Yeah, cool.
and my phone
But
games.
well, that's for myself. What have I been doing? I mean, yeah, I guess I've been watching the Wonka movies to prepare for this. But outside of that, um, what have I been doing? I guess I've mostly just been. I mean, for me, I guess a lot of what I've been doing is preparing for a trip I've got coming up. So in a couple of weeks from time recording, due to fly out to Saudi Arabia for 3 weeks, inshallah. That'd be a good trip. So that means, by the way, real quick, for those of you who happen to listen or watch this podcast on the time they get released, there may be a gap in between episodes for a little bit, as I'm due to be away. But yeah, hopefully that's going to be a good trip. But so I've just been preparing for that, getting stuff ready, making sure I've got all the, I had to do like the vaccinations and stuff like that, and had to do.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it wasn't a lot because I had a lot of vaccinations done last year or the year before when I was getting ready to go to Pakistan. So the only thing I really had to do was get the meningitis vaccination. But the meningitis vaccination isn't available on the NHS in the UK. NHS, by the way, is a National Health Service in the UK where you can get free healthcare. But that particular vaccination is not available on NHS, so you couldn't get it for free. I had to go to a private clinic and I pay for that. But yeah, so it's just a lot of getting ready and making sure like we understand the laws out there, because the laws out there are not the same as the laws over here. So make sure we're not, breaking any laws and things like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it still. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah. But let's see what I've been doing. I think apart from that, I mean, mostly just been playing some games when I get a chance to. Like I've been playing Grand Theft Auto 4. Been playing a game called Valfaris. Been playing a little bit of Far Cry 3. And there's some other smaller games. I tend to play a lot of cheap games. I think I said this before actually, but yeah, I tend to play a lot of cheap games, like dirt cheap games that you find on Steam for like, 89p or something like that, and play those. So quite a few of those as well. Well,
that's a whole nother topic on its own, especially with the industry, how it's going. Oh my gosh.
It kind of makes sense for me because like I don't always get as much time to play games as I'd like to, and because of that, I kind of decided a while ago that I'm not going to buy games brand new anymore, because the last game I think I bought brand new was God of War 2016 or 2018, or the.
Oh, is that the one before Ragnarok when he has his son?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the last game I've actually bought brand new full price on release or near release, and I paid at the time £50 for it. And it's a great game. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed it. Really liked it. But in the end, I played it through it once, and then I was like, yeah, that's really cool. Let me put it down for a while. I play it again in a little while, but of course, you don't always get time to. And then by the time I try to play it again, things are coming up. And it's just kind of really made me realize that I'm spending like 40, 50, 60 pounds on games to get them brand new. And for the most part, I'm just either playing them once, or in the case of like Death Stranding, I didn't even complete it, So it
God,
yeah. So it just kind of really made me realize that it's not a good idea for me to be spent. I can't really justify spending that much money on something that I'm either just gonna play once, if I even play it at all. But I still like to play games. I still enjoy playing games. So a lot of it is either wait until they're like severely reduced, discounted down. Or yeah, looking in the realms of super cheap indie games and just seeing what's there. Granted, there's a lot of crap in there, but you get some gems. You do get some nice gems in there. So yeah.
Totally agree. Plus, you get like, what is it? Not Steam sales, but Epic Games has their weekly free games from their indie developers, and it's just like, you know what? You can give them a chance. It doesn't have to be a great game, even if you start it and then you don't finish it. Who cares? You didn't pay. At least you tried it.
Right.
And,
I keep forgetting to check that one, actually.
What? You forget to get your games on Epic?
Yeah. There was a period of time where I was on it practically every week. And no matter what it had, I was there adding it to my library. And then for some reason, I guess I missed a week or something. And then ended up just forgetting it for the longest time. And it's like, all right. I'm sure they count some people doing it.
So I don't forget. Because knowing that I won't have time in the future, I'd rather have it. Because they had Overcooked on Epic Games for free, which I got that, but I didn't get Overcooked 2 for free. And I'm like, shit. Ah, damn it. I was like, okay, well, I fucked up.
Oh, wow.
Whoops.
There's a game that just came out recently.
But yeah, totally agree. Do not buy them brand new.
Yeah, there's a game that just came out recently that looks really cool, and I do want to play it. And technically, it's a cheaper game, but it's still pretty expensive. So Senua's Sacrifice, or Senua Hellblade 2 rather is what it's called. Hellblade 2 just come out, and Hellblade, the first Hellblade game was amazing. Like, that was an incredible game. So I'm really looking forward to Hellblade 2. But even £50, granted, that's cheaper than what most games cost now, like brand new. Like, probably most games now are like £60 or something like that, or around about there. So it's technically cheaper,
60?
but bruh. I think most games are £60 now, I think.
I think
Or
I thought it was like
am I
80
lying to
US
myself?
dollars. Because like Final Fantasy Rebirth, like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I thought it was more than that.
All right, let's see here. Hellblade 2. Oh wait, no, Hellblade 2 is not even available on. You can't buy it as a disc. You have to buy it as a download only.
That's stupid.
But Final Fantasy Rebirth. Okay, right now that's £60. Right now that's £60 on the PlayStation 5, or 57.28 if you want to get technical, and that's actually discounted down from 70 on Amazon. So the normal price for it is £70. It got it discounted to 60. So yeah, bruh, I can't justify that. So yeah, but yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I get that games cost more to make, and I know that they have to make their money back, and I'm not trying to begrudge them for that. You know, I get it. That's why we have a lot of in-game, you know, in-game purchases now, and microtransactions and DLC and season passes. One of the reasons why we have a lot of those now is because games cost so much to make, and they need to make their money back in various ways. So I get that, but at the same time, as an individual, it's so difficult to justify. And I like to play games. I do like to play the latest games, but it's so difficult to justify spending that much money on something that, if I get timed for it, I'll play a little bit here, I'll play a little bit there. I might complete it, I might not. You know? And even if I do, it might take me like months to get through, maybe even years. And then by the time I'm done with it, it's like that game's like 20 quid or something. It's like, okay. Have you frozen? Oof, I think Celeste is frozen. I think Celeste is frozen. Oh no. What's happened? Okay, it's just me for a moment. For something's happened on Celeste's end. Hopefully she can join us back in a short while. But oh, here we go. Here we go. Oof, something happened. Something happened.
Something happened. I don't know what happened.
All
but
right.
we're here.
Cool.
We're here.
We back. But yeah, I was just saying that, you know, games costing so much, and for me personally, by the time I get through them, it could be like months, maybe even a year or so by the time I get through one of these games, because they're making them longer and longer as well. They're not short games. They're not like 10-12 hour games anymore. I think a lot of games now are like 30 plus 40 hours now, 60 hours.
And then you have games like Skyrim where you could just pour easily 300 just doing whatever you want, you know? Like, that's kind of what happened with me with Breath of the Wild, or not Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Like, I poured so much time into just exploring and having fun with it. And it's just hard because as someone who used to work in the gaming industry, like, the model's changed, and it sucks that it has turned out this way, to have them rely on both game sales and microtransactions. Because it's like, before, we used to get a lot of like good things. Like, we used to have developers create their own products, like t-shirts or limited edition, like collector's editions. They don't really do a lot of collector's editions anymore, but it's just kind of like, you don't see GameStop or games places, or I don't even want to call it like TJ Maxx, but you don't see a lot of gaming paraphernalia out there anymore, because they rely so much on your in-game purchase, because they're like, oh, people aren't buying these. Oh, look, we made amiibos for like Smash Brothers, right? No, that shit still sells, like, depending on what the game is. So it's just kind of like, a lot of game studios, yeah, they're changing their model, and it sucks that in order to keep a game studio open, you have to have good sales. But even if you have good sales, it's not guaranteed at that point, because some higher up will be like, well, we're going to just restructure and we're going to cut off this entire division because, they did make sales,
lately, right?
but it's not enough. And at that point, it's a numbers game. And it sucks because you have so many talented people just being constantly laid off. Anyways, that's not the video that we're filming now. So we'll get into that later after we all get back from our personal lives.
Yeah, that might have to be another topic. But yeah, no, there's been a lot of that lately and it sucks. But yeah, it's I guess it's the result of the industry, and we're all part of that in some way, and how we buy things and things like that. But all right then. Well, yeah, let's move into the main topic of today's podcast, which is Wonka, Willy Wonka, Charlie Bucket, and the Bouquet family, or Bucket family, or Bouquet if you posh, Bouquet if you posh. But yeah, Charlie Bucket, Willy Wonka. That's what we're going to be talking about. The movies, a little bit of the books. If I can remember much, I don't remember much from the books, but I'll try and talk about what I can remember. And the play, I did see the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory play some years back when they were showing it in London. So yeah, we're going to talk about all of that. We are going to get into some spoilers for all movies and all things involved. So there's another spoiler warning right there. But yeah, here we go. Let's talk about Wonka now. Here's the thing. Here's my first question, actually, because this topic was suggested by our very own Celeste, and I was like, yeah, cool. I'm down for that. Now, I'm down for that because Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory happens to be my favorite movie. Like, when people ask what my favorite movie is, I'll say Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. The OG. So okay. I'm kind of curious now. When you suggested this, like, what was your reasoning for, like, yeah, this is going to be a good thing to talk about? Because I know why I think it's a good thing to talk about.
I wanted to talk about this because the Glasgow event of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and how there was so many people who went to Glasgow to be like, oh, look, we're going to get a Wonka experience. We're going to go see Candyland. And it's like, yeah, that is something I would like. Every age would love to go to a candy wonderland, right? But the problem is Glasgow's director that did it, it's so sad. He used artificial intelligence to produce the images to advertise for his event. I almost forgot the word advertise. And the marketing behind it was a lot of AI. And so it was colorful. It was candy filled. It was perfect. It was Willy Wonka themed. Kids were excited. Their parents went over the top to make it so much more special. And then what was delivered was a warehouse with like a few signs. Like, the actors had scripts produced by artificial intelligence, and they weren't even like really giving out candy either. It was like a cup of lemonade and like 6 jelly beans. It was so sad. And then the person who's now in shambles, whose life is destroyed, yeah, you deserve it. He's just like, I'm a villain and everyone hates me. I'm like, yeah, because you tried to throw together a really sad event when you wanted to do something like what Mr. Beast production can do. Like, you can't promise something that big like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And then it's just like, well, that's actually a really good thing. Because, like, if you want to make a event like that for your kid, how would you do that? I'm like, well, just watch the movies. That's a great topic. So that's where it came from. I don't know if you heard about that, but that was what inspired this topic of, hey, you want to talk about a candy factory with me?
Well, I don't think I did hear about this, or maybe I did, because it sounded somewhat familiar to my ears, but maybe I wasn't paying too much attention to it. But yeah, I'm looking at it now. And apparently there was one in Los Angeles as well, a Willy Wonka chocolate experience in Los Angeles as well. But in any case, it's like, yeah, it looks like people were expecting one thing and were highly disappointed by what they got. And I guess maybe some people had fun, I'm sure, by the looks of the pictures, some people are smiling.
No.
But yeah, it
Are
looks like
you
a lot
looking at
of.
the same thing, the Glasgow event?
I might look at the Los Angeles one actually.
Oh no, you need to look at the Glasgow event because I don't know about the Los Angeles event.
Let me try to find a different website. Okay, I think I'll. Okay, yes. Okay, that is massively different. Shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
about to say there's a complete difference of what I don't even know what the LA one looks like, but I wanted to touch base on more the Glasgow event because I don't know if you can see the artificially generated images,
Yeah,
but
no, I think I got those as well.
that's a big order. We're talking about like fog machines. We're talking about giant jelly beans on the floor, like entire grass plains of like color. And then it's just a warehouse with like some set decoration, not even good enough for like a cafe, you know?
Mm.
It's supposed to be a giant experience. Let's see.
Yeah,
Is this it?
that is
I
so
don't know what
bad.
it looks like in LA, but
Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of goes to show that AI is just not ready. People trying to use AI to do everything,
in
and
some cases it is.
it's not ready. Like,
Yeah.
well, I remember like being a kid when I was in school. They took us to the Cadbury's factory in Birmingham, and I feel like that's the closest you can get to what the Willy Wonka factory is. Like, at least at that time, anyway. I don't know what it's like now. This is years ago, of course, so I'm sure it's massively changed since then. But I remember going to this Cadbury's factory where they make the Cadbury's chocolates and stuff, and them showing us around on the tour, and you'd see how the chocolate is made and that kind of thing. And yeah, it wasn't as wacky as a Willy Wonka chocolate factory for sure, but it was still a lot of fun for a kid, you know, to go and you get free chocolate and to see stuff and get to be a part of it. I believe they do still tours. That do still do tours at the Cadbury's factory. But yeah, I've not been there for a long time, man. I might have to go there again actually, get some free chocolate.
That sounds like really fun to do though.
But
Because
yeah,
like yeah, but the main answer to your question, Glasgow failed Willy Wonka event caused
yeah,
this podcast.
they failed spectacularly. But yeah, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory from 1971. I'll say it's my favorite movie. It's definitely one of my favorite movies. But here's the thing, like, because you did this as well, so I'm gonna have to call you out now. But like,
Shit.
all right, because anytime I say Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, almost always the immediate response is um something along the lines of like the original one or the remake or something like that. Like I think you
Right.
said the original one. You know, do you mean the original one? I think you said I think you said do you mean
Yeah,
the
the
original one?
original. Because the
Yeah,
second one is Charlie and the Chocolate
yeah.
Factory.
But that's it. The
But that's
second one is actually
really
called Charlie
weird.
and the Chocolate Factory. So
Yeah.
Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory, the movie, is always going to be the 1971 with Gene Wilder,
So
directed
you all
by.
forgot his name.
Oh, I'm blanking on the name. But yeah, that's the 1971 version. If it's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, it's always going to be 1971. Now, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was the remake with Johnny Depp.
Is the Johnny Depp.
So yeah, when I say Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, that should be clear. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. That's it. There's only one
Leave a
Willy Wonka and the
comment down
Chocolate
below
Factory
if you
movie.
knew
Literally
that
only
the
one
titles of the
movie
movies were different.
called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Not two
Gotcha.
movies, not three movies, one movie.
Yeah, there's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is first, then Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and then we got Wonka.
Then we got Wonka, yeah.
Which
But
I have
yeah.
not seen, my bad.
But yeah, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is legit one of my favorite movies, and the reason for that is, you know, I can remember watching it as a kid, right? And I can remember just like enjoying it. You know, the songs are great, the colors, all that. And then I can remember watching it again as an adult, and fully realizing how much of a psycho Willy Wonka is. You know, like he is certifiable. You know, and I was watching it again just recently, just to. I mean, I've seen that movie loads of times, so I was just watching it again to be a bit more prepared for the podcast. And I guess what I'm even more realizing now more than ever is that there is such a high level of sarcasm that Willy Wonka has, right? That you never really know when he's being serious or when he's not being serious until the end. Not until the end, anyway. But throughout the movie, pretty much everything he says is like you just don't know if he's being serious or if he's generally doesn't care. It's hard to tell, and I think because of that, it adds so much mystery to Willy Wonka as a character. Because the kids see him as this great man, and he makes chocolate, and he's wonderful, and even the adults kind of see him into that regard as well, because they're kind of fans of him too. But then you meet him, and he's so kind of like nonchalant about everything, like when I think it was Mike TV, where Mike TV was running into the TV thing to make himself transmit himself through Wonka Vision, and he's just like, "Stop! Don't come back!" Just like that.
Yeah.
This kid's run into this thing where he could end up blasting himself into a million pieces, and his response was just, "Stop! No, don't come back." Or when Augustus Gloop is drinking a chocolate, and he falls in, and he's like, "Oh no, my chocolate!" My chocolate.
But that's a serious health violation.
Right, like this kid just falls into this big chocolate river, and he's like, "My chocolate, my wonderful chocolate."
You're messing up my wonderful chocolate, you big fat galoop.
But yeah, it's just things like that just add this kind of mystery. See, I mean, he does help them ultimately, right? So it's not like he doesn't care, because he does help them.
Well, no, in the original movie, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, they don't show him helping them. We only get the instructions from the
Oompa Loompa. Yeah. Oompa Loompa. So that's it. Kind of helps him through that. Like he does guide for the Oompa Loompas to take the mother to the. I forget them, the room, the pressure room, something. But yeah, he does tell them where to go. And at the end, they don't show this, but there is a mention that the kids are going to be back to their normal selves, perhaps a little wise for the wear. So you got to get the indication that they're okay afterwards, but you don't see it. And that's kind of one of the things with the remake, is that they actually do show the kids afterwards. Walking out of the factory,
right?
And I guess it's pretty much how they describe it in the first one. They're pretty much okay. They're a little bit different, but they're pretty much okay. But yeah, I feel like not showing it, to me, it just felt like a stronger way to end that, because when you see it, even though it's mentioned in the first movie, when you see it, it's kind of like more of a more of a confirmation. You know what I mean? More of a confirmation where when it's just mentioned, you could just take that for what it means. Oh, they're going to be okay. But that can literally mean anything you want it to mean. Oh, it can mean they're perfectly fine. It can mean that they might have a few injuries, but they're generally not too bad. But you can pretty much take it to mean what you want it to mean. Whereas with the remake, it's like, well, they tell you what it means. And I just felt like, creative choices, I get it, but at the same time, it just, I feel like it makes the ending. I mean, ending I felt in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was generally quite weak anyway, but that added to the weakness for me. But anyway, we'll come to that more in a bit. But yeah, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, in my opinion, is just a brilliant film. One of the lines in that film, actually loads of lines in this film, which I still use to this day, actually, but one in particular, which stuck with me to this day, is when they're walking through the corridors and they come across the lickable wallpaper, and Willy Wonka's like, "Oh, I'm gonna show you this lickable wallpaper. You lick a strawberry, it tastes like a strawberry. You lick a raspberry, it tastes like a raspberry. You lick a snarsberry, it tastes like a snarsberry." And Veruca Salt, Whoever heard of a snozberry? Veruca Salt was brilliant as well, by the way. We'll talk more about it in a bit too.
Mm-hmm.
But if Veruca Salt was like, snozberry, whoever heard of a snozberry? And he holds her chin and he says, we are the music makers and we are the dreamers of dreams. That is a line from a poem by Arthur O'Shaughnessy. It's called Ode by Arthur O'Shaughnessy. We are the music makers, we are the dreamers of dreams. The opening line. I don't remember the rest of the poem, but I have read it a bunch of times some years back because I was like, oh, that's where it's from. Let me read this, But I love that
Oh
line.
wow.
We are the music makers, we are the dreamers of dreams. The idea that creativity just comes from yourself and nobody can really tell you what that is. So the fact that you've never heard of a snozberry, that means nothing. It's like, look, we are the music makers. We make the music and we dream these dreams. So what you're creating is these things that you've never heard of. That's what creativity is. That's what it means to me. That you're going into your mind and just like pulling something out that hadn't existed before. And it could be something that's maybe a take on something else. It could be something completely different. But when you're creative and when you're in that creative space, it's like, that's what it means to me, to be the music maker, to be the dreamer of dreams. So yeah, that line stuck with me because it just, I thought it was such a brilliant line. But yeah, it's from a poem by Arthur O'Shaughnessy. So yeah.
That's funny because that's actually something that my brother and I quote a lot. We quote a lot of things. But that one, we're just like, oh, the schnozberries taste like schnozberries. And it's like, who's ever heard of a schnozberry? So we make fun of that, but we don't take it serious. Because it's just like, when you know that someone's being a brat, you're like, oh, yes, the schnozberries taste like schnozberries. Who's ever heard of a schnoz? Shut up! Basically that. But
yeah,
it's kind of funny that you particularly mentioned that one.
Well, Veruca Salt was a brat. Veruca
Absolutely.
Salt was played by Julie Dawn Cole in the original movie, and she was a brat,
She
and
played that role so well.
oh, for
Like, to
sure,
be
for
fair,
sure.
all of the old actors, I think all of them did their roles like so good. I think the one that was weak for me was Augustus because, like, he's just a kid that eats a lot, but I don't think he had much personality as opposed to Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. That one, they gave him a little bit more, like, screen time.
Yeah, Charlie and
But
Chocolate
yeah, Veruca.
Factory. I mean, I guess he was still the guy that ate a lot. But yeah,
But
he,
it like amplified it because he's like, I have chocolate, and then he like took Charlie's chocolate, and then he was
yeah,
running around inside the Candyland part of the of, I know I'm in the other movie, but he was just like this, and then grabbing like this,
yeah.
like everything's about to. I don't need it. I don't need to chew it. I just swallow it. Versus the first one, I don't really remember him being so gluttonous in the sense of like, oh, I'm just constantly shoving it down my throat.
His whole family
I
though, like they just ate a lot. I remember, like in the first movie when they're interviewing them, his daddy just bit the microphone. He just bites the
yes,
microphone. Like,
I was just like, oh boy. But
but
I remember that more than Augustus, and then him getting stuck. And they're like, okay, he's gonna get stuck, and he's like, oh, my boy Augustus cannot swim. And I was like, I wonder why.
yeah, exactly. You know what
But
though?
yeah,
Actually, to be fair, when I've been to the swimming pool, and granted, I don't swim too often because I don't swim too well. But when I've been to the swimming
but I
pool,
don't need.
a lot of the people there, maybe not everybody, but certainly quite a lot of people there are larger people, and they be swimming lengths. So I'm just saying, like I don't know, maybe it's because buoyancy or something. I don't know.
Oh no,
But
I
yeah,
definitely I have weak lungs and I cannot swim well because I cannot keep my lung capacity filled with air. So I know that much. Now, do I know how to swim? Yeah, I can. But long
technically,
periods, absolutely not. Do not. No, my lungs are too weak for that. That's
yeah.
okay.
Now, I used to swim a bit when I was in school, like primary school. Most primary school. well, a little bit in primary school, a little bit in secondary school. I was never really good at it, but it was part of like PE at various points. So
What?
we'd learn to
That's crazy.
swim then. But then because it was never something that I was very into for the longest time, I just never swam. And then I think about 15 or so years after that is where I tried to go swimming again. And at that point, it's like you kind of know how to swim in terms of moving your arms, turning your head. You kind of you know what to do, but knowing what to do and actually being able to do it could be two completely different things, right? So I remember getting into this pool some
Yeah,
15
yeah,
years after I
absolutely.
swam and then
Because it's like
trying to
I can
swim.
tell you the theory of how to swim like all day, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be great at it.
Right, you know. And then I remember getting in the pool and I was like swimming, swimming, swimming for what felt like ages, right? It felt like ages me just doing this. So I'm like, I'm panting at this point. And then I look back and I've barely moved like 10 meters. You know? I barely moved, maybe not even that much. I remember just go, and I was like, the fact that I was still able to stand up because I was in the shallow end, and I'm just looking back like it's like this. It's like what the, and then you see everybody else is going up and down, like it's nothing. I'm like, yeah, I'm clearly out of practice. I mean, I did take
Yeah.
swimming lessons after that, and I did get pretty okay at swimming, but then I haven't done it for a while now. Now it's probably been about 10 years since then, so yeah. I'll probably forgot it again.
Yeah, I can. My best swimming is like the backstroke. I can't swim that great forward, and I'm very good underwater. So there's that. It's called walking on the ground.
Yeah.
But no, I can't swim. But like forward and especially forward strokes, absolutely not. Going on my back, yes. And I think that's like the most relaxing way, anyways. Like, if you want to swim, like non-serious, just float on your back and kind of jellyfish it out, you know?
Yeah. I think
It feels
backstroke, if I
good.
remember correctly, that was an easier way to swim, if I remember correctly.
Right.
But yeah, it's been a while now. It's been a while.
But yeah, do you have a favorite character from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Yes, and I mean it'd have to be Veruca Salt. You know, I mean of course Willy
Really?
Wonka is everybody's favorite, but I'd have to go with Veruca Salt just because yeah, like she was so brilliant as that bratty character. You know, Julie Dawn Cole played her just amazingly, and she was so over the top with her brattiness from just shouting, from screaming, from you know,
Her music
her
number, you know?
demanding, her whole music section. I want it now. You know, it was perfect. You know, she really just
Right?
nailed that whole character. And with the remake of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like she was still bratty in that, but I did feel like they toned down her brattiness.
They did.
In
She
the
definitely
remake.
had the what is it? She definitely had the flavor and the look and the appeal, but it was just more of this like it was more of just like this I'm a pampered princess and I'm going to act like a pampered princess. But if I
Mm,
don't get what I want, I'm going to get really mad and just throw a tantrum,
yeah,
which is like not it wasn't as Veruca salty as the first one. So I definitely agree with that. I like the second one. I like the second version of Veruca, but it's not as impactful as the first one. But you know, the fashion's changed, and that's why I like the second
yeah,
one. But if she still had the whole moments that the first one had, Julie Dawn had, I think that would have been a great marriage of like a remake version because they really toned that down. Someone's at the doorbell. Excuse me.
all right,
Someone's delivering a package. I don't know why we're doing a
okay.
package.
Okay, well, Celeste is taking care of some business, and we just keep the chat entertained for keep the chat entertained. Well, keep the viewers and the listeners entertained for a bit. But yeah, I mean, Julie Dawn Cole, in my opinion, just played it brilliant. I believe she is pretty much the only of the child actors that continue to act in. Like I was looking at the movie database, and perhaps I missed something, but from what I can tell. she was the only one that continued acting. Now, I did read that Julie Dawn Cole retired from acting some while ago now, and to train as a I forgot what it was, but it's on their website. But yes, I think she's the only one that only one of the child actors that continues acting afterwards. I'm gonna see if I could confirm that uh, while I'm here. I know Peter Ostrom, his bloody hell, this thing. His only acting role was Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory. That's literally the only thing he ever did. No movies, no TV shows, or nothing. Just that one movie that he was in, that he starred in. I mean, hey, listen, if you're gonna do one movie, you gotta go out, do one good movie and leave. You know what I mean? That's not a bad idea. Do one good movie. I mean, yeah, I'm good. I'm done. But he didn't continue acting after that. He actually went into train as a veterinarian. I believe he's retired since, as a veterinarian. That's Peter Ostrom, who
It's not
plays
expecting a
Charlie.
package.
Celeste is
That's
back.
huge. Hi.
I was just keeping the
Momentum
the
going.
viewers entertained for a moment. I was looking at the movie database, and I think Julie Dawn Cole, who played Veruca Salt, was the only one of the child actors that continued acting. But I'm looking now, maybe that's not quite accurate, because Michael Bolner, who played Augustus Gloop, also did some stuff. He was in a video game called Mugen, Mugen. Um,
Yeah.
but that was not until 1999, so that was many years afterwards. Um, who else did some stuff? Mike TV, so Paris Themen, who played Mike TV in original. Um,
Hmm.
he Yeah, he did some acting afterwards. It looks like the last week he did was Star Trek Voyager. So I guess but it was a long break by the looks of it between Willy Wonka and he did Willy Wonka, then it wasn't acting again until 1994 where he was in Macross Plus. He did a voice in Macross Plus, and he's did maybe just a
Mm-hmm.
few acting bits since then. So he's done some acting, but not a lot. But his last film was in the year 2000 in Star Trek Voyager. Um, who else
Yeah,
of the
because I
12 actors?
remember I remember looking this up a long time ago that Charlie, the actor for him, Peter Gardner Ostrom, he actually left acting.
Yeah.
He was actually offered a 3-film contract, and he's just like, no, I don't want to do that. And that's why we didn't get the continuation of the movies.
Okay, that I
So,
didn't know. That I didn't know.
yeah.
But yeah, I knew that was his only movie, like literally his only acting thing ever. Like no movies, no TV shows, no voice work. He just did that one movie, and then he became a vet. Like he's um, like the last I read about him, that he's a retired vet. Uh,
Yes.
but
Like, I remember I think he said that he purchased a farm and then he studied animal stuff, and he's like, yep, I'm done.
But I can't be mad at that though, because I mean, if you do one good movie, it's like, yeah, just quit. You know what I mean, your first movie was a great movie. You're like, you know what, I'm good. I can't be mad at that.
But here's their like parallel to that. That happened with Jack Gleason. I think that's his name. Well, hold on, let me see. Joffrey Jack. Is that his name? Yeah. So the parallel. So Jack Gleason, Joffrey Baratheon from Game of Thrones, the one that's like
Okay.
the bastard kid that killed a lot of people. Like, he did, that was one of his like superstar roles when he broke out. And he's like, yeah, I think I'm done acting. So he stopped acting as soon as he finished Game of Thrones. And then he kind of was like, nah, I need to get back in it. Because with how fast the entertainment movie moves now, you can't
Mm.
really do that. Because then you're going to be put to the wayside, and then no one will cast you again. And another thing that is a paradigm quote of that is, look at Ron Weasley and Draco Malfoy. They're still
Okay. Yeah.
trying to act, but they haven't gotten like silver screen roles like Radcliffe or Emma Watson.
Yeah.
So I mean, it kind of sucks if you can't can't get it, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah, I remember Rupert Grint. He's done
Yeah,
some
that's it.
stuff. I know you're
But
putting Ron Weasley, but yeah, I know he's done some stuff
he is Ron Weasley.
outside
No one else.
of Harry Potter. In fact, I believe he was maybe the first of those three actors to have a movie outside of Harry Potter, if memory serves correct. I know he did a movie um, around about the time Harry Potter was still being done. And he's done pretty. Well, look at his movie database record credits now. He's done quite a bit of stuff, but I guess in fairness, yeah, it's maybe not the big roles and that sort of thing and the starring roles and stuff like that. But he's managed to keep pretty consistent work going, so he's done okay. He's done okay,
Right.
you know. Thunderpants,
Because
that's it. He did a movie
I don't
called
want to.
Thunderpants in 2002.
Because I don't want to say oh, it was perfect for them to get in and out, but it's also I think with Emma Watson, I haven't seen her in something recent. I know she did Little Women, the third remake, whatever number that is now, and it's just kind of oh, okay. But when she did Beauty and the Beast, that kind of ruined her career, I think, because she had. I don't know if you know this, and I think I mentioned this in if you guys go back to our Disney Princess podcast, she actually had a little bit of creative direction on the costuming for Belle. Not a lot, but it was the dress, the gold dress. And she's like, I'm not wearing a corset. And that changed the entire look of her dress, which everyone was expecting this giant gown. And they're like, Emma Watson, you failed. Not only did you fail as Belle, but you failed to embody her character. You were very weak as this character.
Oof.
And it's just so she hasn't had much since the Beauty and the Beast one. She was in Little Women, like I said. And then of course they had that television special of Harry Potter. But other than that, she's got her entrepreneurial things as well. So, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's tough out there.
I think it was a good choice, that OG Charlie Peter dude, left and became something more than the limelight, because he already knew it wasn't going to be for him. He didn't need to keep pursuing. So there's a lot of different paradigms, branches off. If you had kept pursuing, then you can't get the roles. Because I think Daniel Radcliffe is still going very strong. What was it? Dark Water? That was a really good movie. And then he did another one called Horns, which was very unique. But at the same time, I applaud him for taking on such a different role. So I'm just waiting for him and Elijah Wood to be cast as twins somewhere.
Oh, that'd be yeah. in a Lord of the Rings remake or something, or Lord of the Potters.
Don't say that. No, I don't want Lord of the Rings remake. Those movies are fine. Don't change it.
Harry Potter and the One Ring. That's what we need.
Harry Potter meets the Hobbit. Yeah, but no, that's all I'm saying. But my favorite from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was definitely Violet Beauregarde.
Okay,
because her song, and when she blows up into her blueberry, is so iconic to me. It got a little too ridiculous in the remake from Tim Burton. But the first one, I was like, oh my God, I'd be so scared. That one scared me the most, because it's just here's this girl. She's like, oh, I chew gum, but I'm going to change it. And I went to chocolate bars, and look what happened. Yeah. I actually just naturally won it. So for her, she's just this, she's like a normal kid. And then it's just but I love gum. Kids have their quirks. Well, now that I'm a mom, so it's a little more into it. But it's this little girl that's just oh, I love gum, give me gum, yay. For me, it's oh my God, give me ice cream, I love ice cream, yes, yeah, give me. So I see her as the most human. I don't like Mike TV, because he kind of was just like, oh yeah, it's just really simple. You just gotta track the system, and it's like, but he placed it randomly. How are you going to track it like that? That doesn't explain it that well. And they use that same thing with the second one too. So I'm just like, that's kind of dumb. Okay, whatever. So then, but I just think like, Charlie, yeah, okay, you're like the main kid. And like, oh yeah, you're such a good kid, but you still drank bubble juice and you were flying to your death into the ventilation until you like burped it all out. I was like, yeah, I'd be nervous too, but I was just like, no, I don't think that's a smart idea. Versus, because it's just like bubbly water, like we're not sponsored, but at the same time, I'm just like, his scenes were not as good. Like, is he a relatable little kid being like, oh, look at me, I found money, I'm gonna run to that candy store? Maybe that's like one of his most relatable scenes. But if you were just talking about a sense of like normalcy, I hate to use that, normal kid society, of like, oh yeah, like I use my allowance money to buy bubblegum, but instead of buying bubblegum, like I just took a chance and started getting chocolate bars. So that's why I like Violet. And like, yeah, her problem is she can't help but to like gum, and that's almost like she's an addict. And so that can play into like later, if you're an adult, you're just like, oh yeah, I'm addicted to having chocolate in the house, or oh yeah, I'm addicted to eating nachos or something. It's a small minor addiction that's not bad for you. It could be, but at the same time, I'm just like, that's just like a different unfortunate circumstance.
I actually liked what they did with Violet Beauregarde in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where they made her this kind of really competitive, daughter of a soccer mom type character, where, or was it a beauty pageant mom type character where they're just like very much like eyes on the prize, and even a mother. The fact that they were wearing like matching outfits, and the way they would
the
walk
matching
and that
sweatsuits.
kind of thing, and there's a bit where they're in the factory and the mother is just like kind of gouging on the chocolate, and from that moment, I really like that because it really kind of emphasizes this idea of they're so used to like restrict themselves from things, so they got their eyes on the prize. The moment they had that little bit, you just couldn't help yourself and just gouge out. It's like just eat it all. So I thought what they did with Violet Beauregarde and the mother in the remake was really cool. I just felt like that suited that kind of modernization of it suited the character.
I think it definitely gave them more to play with in the character and expanded them rather than just, oh yeah, I'm a chewing gum champion. Like, that's introduced to her in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. She's like breaking boards, and then
okay, we frozen again. Celeste, I don't know if you can hear me, but
pushed by her mom. She doesn't mind being pushed. Oh,
yeah, it froze again for a second, but
but
we're okay now.
What I was saying was, when we get introduced to her, she's like breaking boards, doing karate. And then her mom's just like, yeah, she's a champion. She works hard and she trains hard. But you could see that the little girl that's the actor, I don't know who the actress is, but she's like, yeah, I know I'm the shit. I can kick ass and I win. And I'm going to win the prize at the end because that's what I do. I'm a winner. And I like that because then it's like, it's just this different parallel. Life is about parallels today. It's just a new layer that they can add and just showcase like, yeah, you don't have to be like a normal kid. They wanted, I guess they didn't really want any of the kids to be just some random bimbo off the street for the Tim Burton movie, because Mike TV was a hardcore gamer hacker kind of kid. Augustus Gloop, yeah, he was a glutton. Like that's what the family did. They ate. Your favorite Veruca Salt, spoiled rich girl, comes out from her horse riding lesson. She wants a third pony. Her parents are standing there in their like Chanel clothes in their mansion. Here's this, and it's just like, I got my ticket. I want another pony. It's just like, you just got off a horse though. Like, do you need another one? But she wants another one, so they're going to get it for her just to showcase they got the money, and they worked hard. They worked hard to get what they wanted. And then of course you have Charlie Bucket, who is like this, I am destitute with my family in this shack. But there's no like normal kid. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like all these kids have different types of perks, but in the original movie, like Violet's just this kid. So
I guess in the original one, none of them exactly normal either, really. Like, I mean, I guess between Mike TV and Violet, maybe they're closest to normal, but they're not really that normal themselves, like they are.
Well, Mike TV, I wouldn't say is normal.
Yeah, Mike TV is definitely a serial killer in the making, like, especially in the second one. Mike TV in the second one was like that kid's grown up to be a serial killer. Like, even his dad looked like Jeffrey Dahmer in the second one. Like they kind of
really played
that. I was like, yeah, this kid's a serial killer in 20 years. You know what I mean? Like that's what's happening.
Like if he wanted to kill someone, he knew. He knows how, and he knows how to hide the body. And even if you were going to try to find him, he's like, nope, I know how to hack the system, and I can make an alibi out of thin air, and I'll be clear. That kid is dangerous.
Yeah, he's
Which I remember, like him coming out of the factory. Sorry, we're getting spoilers everywhere. I guess everywhere. Yeah. So, but these are old movies. If you haven't watched them, this is your fault. Okay, leave a comment down below if you watched them previously before this podcast. Anyways, but like I remember seeing Mike TV being stretched out at the end of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That one was the scariest for me, and I was like, oh my god, I cannot fathom. I don't want to know. And I was like, but it's very Tim Burton, all of that was very Tim Burton, because Violet comes out and now she's like super gymnast, flexible. She's like, look, Mom, I'm finally as flexible as you want me to be. She's like, but you're blue.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
Well,
disappointment.
You shouldn't have chewed the gum. Like, you should have spit it out. But I just don't understand why they never spit it out.
It puts upon a head.
Like, here's the question. And I wanted to dive into this and ask you what you think. Like, if you had the piece of gum from both, like, it's the same effect, right? First movie and second movie. So if you had the piece of gum and then his blueberry pie part, and they're like, that's where it goes wrong. And despite being a chewing gum champion, would you have spit it out? Because they never spit it out. So do you think, this is the question now, if you had spit out the gum, would the effects continued or would they have stopped?
That's interesting because, I mean, I guess they would have swallowed enough of the gum juice flavor in or whatever at that point.
The chemical. Let's just say chemicals.
I guess it depends on what exactly caused the blue bit to happen. Like whether it's the coating of the gum, whether it's the gum being in the mouth itself. Would spitting it out have stopped it? I guess we don't know. There's no real way of knowing, but my guess is that I'm gonna guess that it would have stopped it, only because Willy Wonka does say something about it always goes wrong at that part. So perhaps before that flavor kicks in, was it the blueberry flavor? Before that flavor kicks in, had she spelled it out before then, she might have been okay. But it was the greed, or not the greed, but I guess the idea of wanting to be a champion and I don't stop, I keep going, I don't stop, and that ruined her in this case.
Like, that's the part that pisses me off. If I was the parent, I would have slapped them and been like, spit the gum out now. Like, the moment that nose turned blue and their hands start changing, I'd be like, spit it out or I'm grounding you and you're never leaving your house. Like, like you're in trouble.
Back of the head.
Oh, I don't know if you know this, but in Denmark, if you hit your kids, you go to prison.
Okay. Don't do that.
It's a real law. But But it's like, you're turning blue. There's an allergic reaction. This could save your life. It's not that I'm punishing you. I'm trying to save you. So in that court of law, I would be okay. But if it's disciplinary action, no. No. You don't hit your kids. But anyways, yeah. So I'm just kind of like,
Danish
if she
law.
had just spit it out, she should have been fine. Like maybe there would have been like a blue spot here or there. But here's the other part.
Wouldn't have been as bad.
Your skin refreshes. So it's not like it's chemically altering her DNA, right?
I mean,
is it?
Maybe. I mean,
we don't know. They're the music makers.
I have to. I mean, yeah. I mean, what did Willy Wonka put in his blueberry? Was it what again? The dinner gum. The flipping. I shouldn't know what it's called. But yeah, whatever he put in that to make it what it is, probably doesn't alter the DNA. I'm going to assume. It doesn't alter DNA. But yeah, I mean, effects could last a while. I mean, especially if you have particular reactions to certain things, it could cause some kind of, I don't know, changing of the skin tone for a week or a month or something like that before it starts to wear off.
Right. And it's just like, with her getting as big as she did, I'm like, dude, that's an allergic reaction. Don't you have an EpiPen? Like, they should have had EpiPens in 1971, right?
I mean,
or, the antihistamine pen. I don't know.
See, we're going to find all kinds of stuff today.
EpiPen.
Yeah, 1937.
Oh, okay. So epinephrine has been created since. Oh, okay. They wouldn't have had it because they created the EpiPen, the patent, in 1977.
Oh, okay. So they would have had something, but not the EpiPen. A few years, yeah.
Right.
They might have been able
to
do it as efficiently.
She would have had to been rushed to the hospital to stab her with epinephrine.
Man, she only just waited 5 more years. If she just waited 5 more years.
6 more years. 6 more years.
6 more years.
Yeah, and then she wouldn't have been big. She might have had just coloring like a bruise. And then she'd be okay. But, I think that's funny. Like, I think of it in so many different ways because it's just like, she's the most normal little kid. And it's just like, oh yeah, I chew bubblegum. I'm a chewing gum champion. It's not like you just sit there and chew gum like this. Like, I imagined her being able to run around and play outside. Charlie doesn't get that luxury because he's got to go to school and work to help his family make money because he's got 4 grandparents just laying in bed. And then it's just like, oh, I'm finally healthy enough. I can go. And I hate that. I hate the fact that the Grandpa Joe gets this energy to go back to the place. But it's like, the mom is like, no, I have to work at the factory. And then the dad's like, I have to work too because we're barely making it. So it's like, I don't know what to do. And then Grandpa Joe's like, well, I got enough energy now, bitch. I'll go on a free trip. Yeah.
And you notice in the song, like, Grandpa Joe says, I've got a golden ticket. It's like, no, Charlie has a golden ticket. Let's be clear on that fact.
Yeah, you're just a chaperone.
Charlie's got a golden ticket, not you.
I hated that. That makes me
Grandpa
so mad.
Joe's a crook.
But the one thing that makes me okay with it is that in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory afterwards, I believe it's only in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, not Willy Wonka, is that he actually starts helping around the house and he doesn't lay in bed anymore.
Yeah.
And that kind of redeems it. But all those years you're just like laying there because you got laid off and you can't like recover. That's irresponsible, especially putting on your son and daughter and grandson to make the ends meet. Like, shouldn't you be ashamed? Same with the other ones. But they're like, look, I knitted you this little sweater. It's like, okay, can you make like 100 more and sell them on the street? Like what the hell?
Yeah, I mean,
they're working their asses off, and you're just sitting there in your little bed there. Charlie has to sleep in the attic. It's really sad.
Yeah, with the the four in a bed though. I felt like that didn't work for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the four grown ups, the four grandparents in the one bed, kind of made sense. It was like, okay, they're poor, and the film kind of the tone of the film kind of suits that kind of that exaggerated poorness. With the second movie, I felt like they over exaggerated their poverty on certain levels, but the tone of the film itself didn't seem to match what was happening, if you know what I mean. Like,
Agreed.
it felt a bit off. Like, it felt like a more serious movie overall, even though you're watching this. Their house is tilted, like, you know what I mean. They got like holes in the roof and all that kind of stuff. They got four in the bed, but the tone of the film didn't really kind of match that kind of exaggeration, because
Dilapidation.
it
Yeah.
just felt like this is because everything about it, or at least the way it was shot, the way it was filmed, it felt like this is a more serious movie. So the four in a bed, that didn't really work for me, and especially the characters that they were as well, like the characters of the grandparents in the second film. They felt a lot more kind of grounded in earth, apart from when Grandpa Joe jumps out of bed and he starts dancing. But for the most part, they felt kind of very well kind of grounded, especially the one who was like telling Charlie, "Oh, there's 1 in a million chance, and there's people who buy these tickets, buy chocolate all the time, and you don't have a chance." But then when he does find a golden ticket, he was the one to say, "You go to that factory because like you're not going to get another chance like this. Like they make money every day or whatever. Like you go to." So the
Right.
characters of the grandparents did feel quite grounded as well. It's just like this. It's like the scenes they were put in, the characters and the tone of the film didn't all match up for me.
No, that makes sense. I agree to that because when we see the Bucket's house compared to, I guess it's London. I don't want to call
Well,
it
they don't
London
really
because I don't
say,
think it's
but yeah,
London, but the city.
England.
So when you see the city, it's
English
like,
adjacent.
yeah, it's like the apartments and the buildings were all next to each other, kind of like going down like London downtown, like there's no grass, you have trees, and it's the city. But then you go just slightly after like two streets, and then you get the Bucket's house. Like you don't
Yeah.
see any other like strict poverty line. I'm not saying that we should see more people in poverty in a movie about a chocolate factory, but it's just such a harsh contrast
Yeah.
of, okay, looks like, well, you didn't get onions, so we're only having cabbage soup today. Cut! And it's like they make cabbage, okay, because that's all they can afford. So hot cabbage water. And it's like, okay, that's a little depressing. Like you can't even afford a potato, or you can't make potatoes. Like that's weird. But I actually really like Helen Bonham Carter as Charlie's mom. I think she was really like, I think it was a cute nod because she's always working with Johnny Depp and Tim Burton on the movies. So it's just interesting to see her having a complete cameo there.
Yeah, she had a bit. She had a bit in there. But
Yeah. So, but it's just such a weird context when you have the bucket house from the first movie and you have Charlie running back and forth from like the candy store and his school, and he finds the money on the ground. And it's just like, yeah, you have to get lucky to find money on the ground like that. And it's just like, oh, that's really cool. And I do think when, I guess it is Grandpa Joe, I don't remember, in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he's like, are you going to be that dummy? Because they only printed 5 of those, but they print money every day.
Yeah.
And now, are you a dummy? And he's like, no, sure. But he's a kid. He doesn't know any better. He doesn't understand like where money comes from. He doesn't understand the winnings of like a golden ticket. And so that's why it's like,
he was just trying to help his
really
family.
special.
Yeah.
But that's also something that people did for the Glasgow event. And going back to that, like parents would, I saw this one TikTok of this mother. She's like, I went above and beyond and I got some chocolate bars and I created custom golden tickets for my kids for this Willy Wonka experience with the ticket to go inside. And then when they got there, it was so heartbreaking. And I was like, oh, that must have been painful. That's sad.
That sucks.
What you gonna But yeah, so I mean, I I think I like the actor for Charlie in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory more than the original actor,
Okay, yeah.
Peter. I don't know. I
They
wouldn't say that. I think it's just the source material that they had to work with was a little bit grander.
I think the problem is
But
that the Charlie character itself is quite bland, and
yeah,
in the second movie especially, like he doesn't really like he almost always makes the right choices, right? Whereas with the
right.
first Charlie, he had a bit more character. Like he's a kid. He's he wants the chocolate as just about everybody. He can't afford it, And then even go around the factory where they drink the Liston juice. Like it
Bubble
was a
juice.
bad thing, but it's like he's tempted. With the second one, it's like he almost always does the right thing all the time. And I think, in fact, if I remember correctly, I don't think he ever does anything he could consider was a bad choice. Like the only exceptions may be when he wasn't going to go to the factory, but his grandpa was like, "No, you go. Don't be that dummy." But even
Yeah.
that's not really a bad choice. In fact, it was really the smart choice if you want to really, because like they are poor, they do need the money more than they need the tickets, So that's the reality of their situation. So it just kind of felt like he was always doing the right thing, and I just felt when you have characters like that, it's not. I mean, it's not bad. Of course, people should do the right thing, but at the same time, it's like you're watching this movie where it's like, okay, he's just doing the right thing. There's no drama now. There's no like, you know what I mean. There's no element of, oh no, they've messed up. Things can go wrong. It's just, oh, he's doing the right thing, and that was that.
But
And
the
he
other
makes it to
part
the end.
about
It's like,
the
oh, you
drama that
won.
they wanted to create was Willy Wonka himself. Because with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, they had so many segments of Willy Wonka's character
Yeah,
and going into that, where it's
his
just like, oh
daddy.
yeah, my dad was a dentist. And then it's like, oh yeah, look at how my dad raised me. He kicked me out because I wanted to eat chocolate. And then he actually uprooted his entire house because I left the home. I went to a museum, and then when I came back, he was gone. So I was left all alone. So it's weird that they didn't even give a chance to Charlie.
Hmm.
And his name is in the title. So it's
Yeah,
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Versus the 1971, it's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but they focus more on Charlie.
yeah. They did the
You
opposite
see
of
that?
this one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's yin yang eek. So, I mean, I did not enjoy the Willy Wonka storyline in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It just didn't make sense for them to be like, oh, I found a gray hair and now I must find a hair in
Yeah.
air. And I'm like, that's stupid. Just just be like, I'm ready to find some, like, I think they addressed that so much.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna try and remember the last thing I heard you say.
And
I
I'm
think
running
you
out of
addressed
ideas.
that. Okay, wait. Celeste is frozen again. Hirsch. I don't know if you can hear me, Celeste, but you've frozen up again. The last thing I heard you say was they addressed that. I'm assuming you're talking about the first movie. Oh, I know. Okay, so we are having technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. Um, hopefully they be resolved very soon. As Celeste does what Celeste needs to do on her end to rectify the situation. But I believe Celeste was saying that they addressed um, about Willy Wonka needing to move on and find a replacement in the first movie, which they do. He talks about. Oh wait, okay, okay. So just waiting for Celeste to come back in. But yeah, they talk about that in the first movie, where he said that he can't do this forever, and he needs someone to look after the factory and to take care of the Oompa Loompas, and he didn't want an adult to do it because an adult would want to do things their way and not his way, which is kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of arrogant, I guess. My way is the best way. I mean, technically it was, to be fair, but yeah. But all right. But yeah, there is some that does get brought up in the first film of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and still waiting for Celeste to come back in. It's been a while, huh? It's been a while, isn't it? But yeah, so while we're waiting, while we're waiting, let me try and keep this going a little bit. Actually, one second. Let me just resend the link to Celeste just in case she needs it again. But yeah, so I mean, oh, here we go. Here we go.
Hi. So
Here we go. Celeste is back.
unfortunately, yeah. So it's weird because my computer sometimes just loses internet and it doesn't make any sense why, because I'm looking at my router and it's green. So we're back though. We're still in the dollhouse.
We're back. Okay, cool. You're on your phone now, then.
Yes, I had to switch to my phone, but I'm restarting my computer and I'm like, we'll see if it works. Because normally when it loses internet, which is stupid, it's a wired connection.
Oof,
A
yeah.
wired connection will lose internet, but my wireless, like Wi-Fi, does not.
Computers could be weird like that, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've had that some similar issue as well, where I've had wireless connections that for some reason are just much more stable and consistent than my wired connections. I've had that as well. And it's weird. It's literally a physical cable plugged into your box. You'd
That's what
think
I'm
that'd
saying.
be a lot more stable and even faster, but I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
just don't understand why that
Computer
happens.
magic, I guess.
And I'm just like, okay, well, I restarted the computer and the internet is still not connected anymore. So I'm just like, I have no clue what to do when that happens. And that's when I stop playing League.
All right.
But we're
All
back.
right. We're back. So the last thing I heard you say before it cut off was, I believe you were comparing to the first movie about what Willy Wonka said about wanting a hair or wanting somebody to replace him as it goes along, as he has to move on. I think that was the last thing he was about to say before it cut off.
That's correct. So it's kind of like he just wanted, like, oh, such a child, so like innocent and pure. And he's like, you're the one that's going to be like the next dream maker, which I'm just kind of like, that random chance sounds really dangerous versus like in the second movie, he's just like, okay, well, I'm getting old. I need someone to replace me. And it's like, you don't want to hold a competition. You're just going to leave it up to chance, like 5 random kids. I think that's not, no. But to further up on that topic, there's the channel Film Theory on YouTube, and they do a full diagnosis of like failing health regulations and laws and how much taxes they would have to fix and repair the factory. And it's just like, oh my god, they are in so much trouble. And it's just like, if Charlie inherited that, the buckets would be worse off, or bouquets would be worse off than what they originally had. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like, have you seen that video?
I haven't, no, but I'm gonna have to check that though. That sounds like the type of thing I'd be interested in. How many
Oh yeah,
laws Willy Wonka
absolutely.
broke or breaking,
Yeah,
and he just
so
gives his factory away. There's like now they're in debt for. It's like, wait a minute, they've got to pay this tax, they've got to have this insurance, they've got to pay this, pay that, and like you have less money than you had to begin with, which is nothing at all.
Yeah, never mind like just the wrong type of food that they're creating. It's not like gloved, and stuff. And then the chocolate river, that's actually a big one. But it's like you totally forgot about the immigrant workers that work there. And it's just like, oh my God, I totally didn't think about that, which
The
we
illegal
have
immigrant
not talked
workers.
about the Oompa Loompas.
Well, actually, to be fair, are they illegal immigrants though? Because here's the thing about the Charlie and Chocolate Factory world is that it's set on Earth, and because they do clearly make references to countries that are on Earth, right? So we know it's set on Earth, but it's not really clear which country they're in. Like in the first movie, it's somewhat assumed it's England because it's kind of England looking. The second movie, I don't even know if they even bother make it look like anything. So, and even in Wonka,
Yeah.
it's just very much like this place that exists on Earth, but they're not never really clear what exactly it is. So what are the laws in this place where that factory exists? Are the Oompa Loompas illegal immigrants, or are they well within the laws of that land?
But
You
that's
know.
the thing too, because when we enter in both movies, they talk about how Grandpa Joe, right? He got laid off from the factory. So there's some kind of wage system that you have to be paid your wage.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you won't get your money so you can afford to live outside the factory. Now, the Oompa Loompas, we don't know if they just eat the chocolate there and they live there. We don't see their dormitory quarters. We see them going through psychiatric help in the second movie. But again, that's all the CGI, same guy. And it's just kind of strange because it's just like, yeah, we also see Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka go try to find chocolate and they meet them in the random rainforest. Well, you're probably taking away an indigenous people from their land with the promise of, oh, here's something like cocaine. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like you're enticing them with a drug, quote unquote, because they don't have good food. So they might not actually know that they're being imported from a different land to this civilization where there are regulations, there are rules, because Mr. Bucket got fired from his factory job putting caps back on toothpaste containers. And it's just like, well, you're you've got these new people, but there's probably laws about that of like, hey, you got to come in and you have to become citizens or something along those lines. So that's something that was really hit on the film theory episode. Another one was like all the different types of chickens and just free range, the product testing on humans. uh that's really bad, and just like the advancement of science and things. But one of them I absolutely remember was like the giant chocolate fall not being regulated and splashing around was actually really expensive. And they're like, just because it makes it frothier and healthier, it does like and lighter, that's actually really, really bad. Like, oh man, that's a lot of money. So, highly recommend after you guys finish listening to this podcast, or after you all finish listening to our podcast, check out Film Theories, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I would pull it up on my computer and just send it to you right now, but I can't because my computer is not connected to the internet,
That's
despite
okay.
having a wired connection.
Yeah, and I think I found the video. So yeah, they've got a couple actually. So try and watch those after a while. But yeah, no, I mean I mean, yeah, that's definitely. I mean, at least laws according to say our modern society. There's definitely a lot
Right.
of laws being broken in those movies. Um, from I mean, even just the idea of like the golden tickets. Like just like these random golden tickets that you're gonna give out, and okay, maybe that's not a broken law, but it is kind of suspect. Like five golden tickets to five random people, or seemingly random people. Apparently, there was some kind of algorithm involved, but that might see be
Yeah.
fake it out. But seemingly random people, and they can bring a parent or whatever. It's like okay, cool. You go show them around the factory. In the first movie, they make him sign a waiver, like a contract that they don't really read. They just like sign it. It's like it's got big words
Oh,
at the
you
bottom
mean,
and tiny, tiny small print at the bottom. You know.
yeah.
So
That's
it's like,
exactly what our terms of service is now. No
yeah,
one really reads terms
there's
of
no one
service.
reads it.
And then they complain. They're like, China's stealing our data on TikTok. It's like, it's in the terms of service.
Yeah,
Like, you just didn't read it.
it
So
was there.
everyone's like
It's all there.
surprised when their content's being stolen. It's like, no, but that's allowed on the platform.
Yeah, they listen to you. They spying you through your mobile phone. It's all in there.
Yeah, that's why I stopped posting on so many sites, you know. I'm just like, I'm pretty good. I'll stick to my, let's see, I think I only really post to Facebook, Instagram, like I don't really post there. and YouTube. So it's just like I know those two companies because Instagram's part of Meta. I can at least trust them to have my back if someone's trying to copy me.
Well, would they though? I mean, I don't know. I mean, all these big corporate companies.
Well, no,
Would they really
it's
have your
safer than
back?
TikTok because
Well,
um
probably, but yeah.
like there was a video from Sophia Nygaard on her trying to find this one dress that led her down a rabbit hole of finding the dress multiple times, but they were drop shippers and they used a content creator's footage, and the content creator's footage got recycled constantly with all these different accounts, and she doesn't get back those views. She doesn't get back her image anymore. It's stolen. And I'm just like, well, that's got to suck to be you because you're the one pushing for the actual brand. There's people that are scamming and making knockoffs, making the money off of it and your content just by reposting it or repurposing it with their drop shipping. And then they make a quick money after they make like so many sales, they shut down the website and then they ship out like their cheap version of the dress, and before someone can leave like a bad review, the website's already gone.
But there's
So
a lot of
it's
scams out there, man. Damn.
yeah, that's why I'm
Damn.
like, I applaud people who work hard on TikTok. I applaud people who work hard on like, just in general on social media content, and but it's like I know for a fact that you can copyright someone on YouTube faster and they will actually like review it versus TikTok. It will take months. They might not do anything because they're like, well, you posted to the app. Like anyone's allowed to use your content now if you posted that content to the app so they can take it. And it's in their terms of service. In Metas, I believe you're not allowed to do that. There's something about it. There's something that will protect you from that. And so it's just like, well, lesson learned. So I don't read a lot of the terms of service on things, but it's like you got to be selective of what you choose to sign or what you
sure.
do and do not
sure.
want to read. And that's something bad too. I was talking to my dad about this. There's so many kids out there that just say, yeah, sure, whatever. And they don't want to read the terms of service. And even if they did read the terms of service, they don't know what it means either. Because they like the vocabulary that they use is too high of a level. So it's just like, okay, I don't care. But then when it comes time to be like, oh my God, my likeness, oh my God, why is my views like tanking? I don't know what to do. It's like, well, you had warnings. It's not like you didn't. But in the case of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where it was giant and then got extremely minuscule, that's sketchy. That's mega sketch. And that's why I'm like, that's why I still really like Charlie in the first one and Violet in the first one, because they are just ordinary kids. They go in and they sign something because that legal jargon, they won't understand it anyway. Like what kid is going to know like any kind of legality of things unless it's explained to them to a young mindset. Like you're not going to say, "Oh yes, I'm glowing with resplendence today." I don't think a lot of people even know what resplendent is. It's like splendor or grandeur. So it's like, I don't even know if people actually know that word. Anyways, like you're not going to expect like a 10-year-old to know it. They're 10, right?
think so. Did it say their ages in there? But yeah,
I
about
thought
that
they were
age.
like 8
About
to 10
yeah, yeah,
because they're
approximately at that age.
definitely, yeah, they're not teens. They're absolutely
Yeah,
not teens. They're supposed to be kids, which is like, ooh, that would be so much fun. So it's like they're not as young as 5, but they're not older than 11, I want to say.
yeah, they're probably about maybe
Right?
between 9 and 11, maybe 12 at the most. But I mean, the actors themselves are probably about 12 or so, 12, 13. I think the
Right.
actors were that.
Right.
I'd imagine. I mean, I haven't looked it up, but I imagine they were probably about that age at the time. Um, but yeah, the age of the characters, I'm not sure they actually mentioned that. But yeah, they're young. They're youngins. But
Right.
you know what makes the whole contract thing worse though in the first movie is that it was actually written in Latin.
Shut up, was it?
Yeah. Well, at least parts of it were anyway. So at the end of the movie where Willy Wonka is mad at Charlie because he stole a fizzy lifting drink and he's reading parts of the contract, part of it
Yeah.
was in Latin. So like, yeah, they definitely would have not understood it. They almost certainly, unless they just happen to speak Latin, you know, they almost
Yeah.
certainly would not have understood that anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude was a crook.
Also,
He was a crook.
oh my God, I almost forgot. So the everlasting gobstopper guy, he was like, he was a espionage agent to see if kids were like
Oh
truthful
yeah.
or lying. And I
Yeah.
totally forgot that Violet was like, no, I won't tell. And I'm like, oh, that's such a kid thing to do, you know?
Hmm,
Like once you have a secret,
yeah.
like you want to tell someone. You absolutely want to tell someone because it's like you feel so special. You're like, I have a secret. Oh my God, I'm so special. I want to tell someone. And so it's like, I don't know if you remember in your primary school or secondary school, if you had a crush on someone and you told someone, you're like, hey, I actually am a little sweet on someone. Like, I'm sweet on Mandy over there. They're like, oh my God, I can't wait to tell someone. Like, that
I won't tell.
that's
Yeah.
such a kid mentality. Like you
Yeah.
can't tell a kid to keep a secret because it's just
Yeah.
it's not fair to them. They find it so special that you're telling them that. And I was just like, I totally forgot about that guy until now. And I'm just like, would I be able to keep a secret if
Yeah.
I was 10
Slugworth.
years old? Like, no, absolutely not. I want to fucking tell people because it's a secret. It's like not that everyone's gonna know, but since you're my bestie, we could talk about it together.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, when you're a kid, though, and somebody tells you to keep a secret, and you're like, yeah, I won't tell no one, I won't tell no one. And of course, you tell somebody, but you think you're being slick when when the person you tell them, oh, yeah, but don't tell nobody, don't tell nobody. And like, yeah, I won't tell. And then, of course, they go tell somebody, and they're probably saying the same thing.
Exactly.
And before you know, everybody knows. It's like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. My little brother and I, we have that problem. We're like, like for my brother's wedding, he's like, don't say anything, but I don't think I'm going to invite this uncle to the wedding. And then we were in a three-way person call, and immediately I was like saying to my little brother, hey, 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 he told me a secret. He told me a secret. He told me not to tell anybody. He told me not to tell anybody. And then my little brother, same words, but in his voice, hyperactive. He's like, oh my God, Marissa, I have a secret. You told me not to tell you anything. He told me a secret. Don't tell anybody. And it's just like, reverted back to being like that little kid mentality of like, I got a secret. Oh my gosh, I gotta tell someone. And it's like, that's so strange, isn't it? Like, why is that kind of psyche, that mentality of I have something precious that I need to protect? It might be as simple as, oh, I farted. Don't tell anyone. I didn't. But as
I
simple
mean,
as
you
that.
sure?
And then you want to tell someone. It's like, oh my God. Like you can be like 3 days later and be like, oh, Bob from accounting farted so hard in the elevator and he told me not to tell anyone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
just like, it's so silly. Why do we have that kind of mentality?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it kind of depends on what it is as well, because I do feel like, I mean, well, it may depends on who to about specifically, but if we're talking about, say, a more like really kind of serious issue, I do feel like most times people won't say anything. But I guess when it comes to things that are not as serious, at least not as serious in our minds, even though we say we won't say nothing, we might be a bit more inclined to be like, especially like, I don't know, let's say, one of your friends had like an issue with their partner or whatever, right? And they're like, yeah, don't tell nobody. And I'm not like maybe a major issue, but just like maybe a kind of, they caught him, I don't know, in an embarrassing situation or whatever. Like, you might not tell, say, like, your people in your friend circle, but you might have like a separate group of friends that where none of them know that group of friends, where you might be just like, oh yeah, I was just chatting with one of my buddies, and this happened, and you don't give names or whatever, but it's a way of like, telling people without necessarily telling people. You know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
absolutely.
But I think when it comes to like
Absolutely.
real serious stuff, like, if you know somebody who's been through like some kind of abuse and they ask you not to say nothing, I feel like those sorts of things we'd be like, yeah, you wouldn't say anything, like you'd just be,
Yeah.
yeah, that. But so for me, I
But
feel like it just
that's the
depends on
weird
what it
part.
is,
Well, here, let
and
me
who
get
you're
you
saying
heavy
it to.
really quick.
Yeah.
Like, we actually had, um, at least I think it was 10 years ago at this point, almost 10 years ago, we actually did have a situation in my family with my older brother and my little sister. I'm one of five. And that was not the time to keep secrets. That was absolutely not the time to keep secrets. And my older brother kept the secret that was really life changing for our family. And it's just like, that was not a good choice for you to do that. And it's just like interesting how that transpired, because it did cause a big rift in our family. But at the same time, it's just like, had he had been able to, if he had the right morality to share that secret, to like not protect, but to do the right thing. Because by him keeping his silence, keeping my sister's secret, that caused a bigger rift, as opposed to, I'd rather betray her trust so that the whole family knows what's going on. That would have like saved the rift with all of us, I think. And it's just interesting how, it's like, oh, don't tell anybody, like this very dangerous thing happened. And, you know, next thing you know, we're on a witch hunt trying to find my sister. And it's just like, oh, you knew this whole time. And it's like, that's not good. Just saying. Because
Yeah.
there are some things where it's like, you absolutely should not keep a secret.
Yeah, no, for
Absolutely
sure.
not.
For sure. I mean, certain things, yeah, it sucks. And I get when sometimes people can put you in situations that you really don't want to be in. I get that. But yeah, there's certain things you just, it's better all around to say it. Even if it hurts somebody's feelings, the overall outcome is that people might need to know. And it sucks that there's been put on you to be that guy. But yeah, there are certain things you just can't keep secret for sure.
Okay. So, hypothetically, if you were like, I have to ask because this is the Wonka podcast.
All
If
right.
you were
All right.
approached by a competitive candy company and you were entering the Wonka factory that has been locked and key and quiet, would you rat them out?
Um,
Would you rat the okay? If you were
I'm thinking
poor
about it.
Charlie Bucket, you're not Veruca Salt, you're not Mike TV, you're not Augustus, you are Charlie Bucket, barely making ends meet, having to have hot cabbage water every night. And he's like, oh, I will reward you handsomely if you can take like a prototype of any candy.
Hmm. You know what? I mean, I'd like to think I do what Charlie did, as in give the gobstopper back and not tell him, and that whole thing. So that ultimately is a right thing to do. I'd like to think that that's where I'd be, and hopefully, well, hopefully it never happens. Actually, no. Well, I would like to go to a chocolate factory, so hopefully that happens. But anyway,
Yeah, we hope that you
if
actually go back to Cadbury and see
yeah,
chocolate, get
indeed.
some free chocolate.
But I think the reality is that yeah, if you were that hard up and you know you needed the money, you know your family needed it desperately, you know, I don't know if you could be really faulted for something like that, you know, because and
Yes, you
especially when
can, because you signed a contract.
true. Okay, so you can legally be faulted for something like that.
Yes, you
Um,
can. But again, you're a kid, so it's
yeah,
just like, did the guardians that came with them, did they have to sign the contract too, or was it just the
it's just the
kids?
kids. It's just the kids. So
Oh,
that's another thing as well because
that's something you
they're
can work around then.
yeah, because if you're under 18, you need a parent or guardian to sign on your behalf, or at least a co-sign with you. So that
Right.
signature might not really mean much. But then again, we're assuming they're in a country that has laws that we recognize. They don't really specify where they are, so we don't really know
But
what the actual laws are.
this is only with the 1971 movie. They did
Yeah,
not
yeah,
have that in the 19 or the Johnny Depp film. So we'll stick this question to only
70, yeah.
1971 law,
So I
because
mean,
it was not.
I don't know what law specific was in 1971 about kids signing things. I'd imagine you probably couldn't, at least not that easily anyway. But then again, I don't know. Yeah, maybe it was different law. Um, but yeah, let's assume that it's legal for kids to sign things. Let's assume that that was a legally binding contract. Um, then yeah, he did sign it. Granted, he might not have understood what he signed, but he did sign it. Bottom line is, he agreed to whatever was on that contract. So by taking the candy and giving it to Mrs. Slugworth, he would have been breaking that contract and that law. Um, but the question is that one, he didn't understand, or most likely didn't understand what he was reading. Two, he does need the money. So yeah, it's still a tough choice, right? Because on one hand, you don't want to betray Mr. Wonka, but at the same time, it's like Mr. Wonka's kind of an asshole, you know. So
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, here's the other part. Here's the other part that comes with it, because you're with your guardian, right?
hmm,
So Mr. Wonka gives, or Willy Wonka gives all the kids one everlasting gobstopper that will, no matter how you chew it and no matter how you suck, it will never disappear. But if you gave that to your parent at the venue, does that already enforce that you failed that contract? So like
hmm.
say Veruca Salt has no pockets and she's like, Daddy, I don't want candy hands. I don't want the candy melting in my pocket. Like, I need you to hold it, and then he holds it. So does that already invoke that contract? And does she already fail that? Or does that mean that that is a way around that contract, that the dad can have it and then he could sell it to competitor Candyman?
You know what? That might work actually. I'm thinking about it because the kids signed the contract when he gave them the gobstopper. He never specified that they can't give it to their parents, or it just said it's theirs. And the only thing he said was that Slugworth would give sell his right arm or something like that to get a hold of these. But in fact, even at that moment, he never specified don't give it to Slugworth. Now, I'd assume the whole thing about Slugworth was going to be in the contract. I would assume that. But it
But
says
that's
very
the thing.
specifically about give it to your parents.
Like we don't
Maybe.
know if that's what they were actually trying to go after. So I don't remember actually. But like, can you imagine? So you're standing there licking the wallpaper, and you're like, oh, I really like the strawberry wallpaper, so I'm gonna rip off a strawberry and I'll take it with me. Versus Slugworth, he's asking for the gobstopper. But what if
Hmm.
I give him the wallpaper instead? What if
Yeah.
contract is specific to just the gobstopper
Well,
and then
yeah.
I take gum?
Well, in that case, yeah, they're not breaking out if it was specific to just the gobstopper. Should have said about
So
the
it's
candy
like
and the
you can
wallpaper.
still get your coin.
Yeah, could have got something. Well,
Yeah, it
but
sounds
yeah,
bad.
I don't know. I mean, hopefully, if I'm ever in that situation, I'll do the right thing. But I ain't gonna lie, man. That temptation would be real. But I'm not in Charlie Bucket's situation, and that temptation would be. I'd feel it now. You know what I mean? I'd feel that
Yeah,
now. So if I was in Charlie's situation, it'd be like, oof, I ain't even mad at it. I ain't even mad at it. You're doing the wrong
yeah.
thing, but I ain't mad at it.
Yeah, I think I would be like I don't know what I would be like. I know I wouldn't sell them out, but if I'm like really hard pressed on money and like the government's like, oh yeah, health and safety regulation XYZ blah blah blah, I'd be like, oh, maybe I will go into that. I will work really hard, shining shoes, and pay for my education. And if Wonka's still in business at that point, I would go into like the public sector and
Buy
and
him out.
then be like, there's all these violations, asshole. All these violations. Remember, you didn't give me the fucking gobstopper. So I would go in and like just tear down the business. But I would play the long game.
That's not a bad
Because
idea,
it's
actually.
like, yeah, because it's like, imagine if you were like the health inspector and it's like you were the one to open up the Willy Wonka factory, and then people could have jobs again there and it would boost the economy because you were like, oh, they can't close their doors to inspection, because you don't want to find cockroaches in your chocolate or in your marshmallows. That's disgusting. Absolutely not.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, yeah, that's I thought there's a lot of like things they probably get away with that they probably should, especially when it comes to. I mean, exactly. You can't just like shut your doors. And in the second one, they'll talk about they shut the doors and if they got rid of all the stuff. But then there's people who drive the trucks because there's deliveries. So there's got to be, and you're selling, food that children are eating. Well, it's not food, it's sweets, but still, you're selling stuff that children are eating. So it's like, yeah, there's got to be at some level, some way of being like, and even like just even going around the factory when he's giving them sweets and stuff, there's got to be like some kind of like level of like, okay, what can you give to people as a gift? You've invited people to this factory and you want to show them around, but can you really just give them experimental sweets? Or even have them in a place where they might get a hold of them, because we have like warning labels on bottles where they say things keep out of reach of children. So even where you have like certain chemicals or whatever, you have to keep them in places where children can't get to. I mean, I'd imagine it has to be the same with these madness sweets that like do all these mad things when they're still in their experimental stages or their beta stages. There's always going to be some kind of rule that says even have them in a place where children can't get to it easily. So the fact that they had them just kind of out and the kids were able to just kind of run up to it and grab one, it's like, yeah, that's going to be some kind of violation right there.
Easily. And especially like, I just think it's just like, oh yeah, with all of the things that they have and like the spills on the floor, that's health code violations. Like you can't have a dirty workspace. And it's just really dangerous. And then they have livestock with the cows. In the second one, it's like whipping cream. And it's like, I'm pretty sure that's not how you make whipping cream. You don't whip a cow.
Yeah. And also with the Oompa Loompas, they don't say, I don't believe they say anything in the first 71 movie. And I think, if I remember correctly, they mentioned this in the Johnny Depp movie about how he pays them in cocoa beans. That's right. I know in Wonka, he pays them in chocolate. He makes chocolate in it. That's what he pays them in. Well, one of them at least, anyway. Now,
isn't that Hugh Grant?
Yeah, Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa. So yeah, I mean, okay, cool. He's paying these people in food, effectively. I mean, they're from a different land, so I'm thinking because they're from Oompaland. Sorry, Loompaland, excuse me. They're from Loompaland. So like, is that a fair trade for them? I mean, I'm kind of assuming that it is. I mean, I guess by watching the film, we assume that it is. But is that really a fair trade for them? That they work in this factory, they never really leave the factory, and they just get fed.
Yeah, it feels like indentured servitude.
Right, you know what I mean? Like we'd call that, yeah, and then just like that'd be almost like slave labor, like.
Yeah, because that's what they try to do in China. Yeah, but the government allows that kind of treatment,
Maybe that's where
that government.
Maybe that's where Wonka's factory is. That's how he gets away with these laws.
Oh, so now they're speaking Chinese. This whole time, Hugh Grant's Chinese. Got it. From Oompa
Yeah. But yeah, there's got to be some violations in there, and even with the Oompa Loompas, maybe they're okay with it, but at the same time, it's like they work, they never leave the factory, they
They
don't
seem
know any
happy
different,
too.
right? They, huh?
Yeah, they seem happy.
Yeah, they seem
You
happy,
know,
but yeah, they don't know any different. They don't know what life on the outside is like. Not really. That's all they know. They
right?
kind of live there. And in the first, in Wonka, sorry, it's just Hugh Grant's Oompa Loompa. Like, there's no other Oompa
Oh,
Loompas. There's just Hugh Grant. So, based on that, I'm kind of assuming that, all the other Oompa Loompas don't know about, or at least don't know much about this world because they're all in Loompa Land. So when they
yeah,
come to the factory, it's like all they know is working in the factory and getting fed in chocolate.
chocolate. Well, we don't know what chocolate does to them. If it's like an aphrodisiac, if it's like their version of catnip, if it's their version of heroin, you know,
Hmm.
that's the bad part because essentially it's like a drug cartel for him. He's like, all right, you come here, you cut up my chocolate, and then you eat the chocolate. It's like no better than a cocaine drug lord, if you think about it.
I
But
mean, pretty much. I mean, yeah, yeah.
do you like the Oompa Loompas? I guess is the next topic we could segue into. Like the depiction of them is vastly different, I guess, quote unquote vast, uh, in each movie.
Yeah.
Because Wonka, obviously, it's the predecessor to Willy Wonka or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So depending on which way that lane is supposed to go to, I don't know if they're trying to
Um,
predecessor.
I would say Wonka. It's set before those movies, but it doesn't, strictly speaking, follow those movies. So, I mean, it's definitely its
Yeah,
own
that's fair.
thing. Story wise, there's definitely things that line up a little bit, but I think a lot of it doesn't really even try to line up with either movie. So
Okay.
it's very much its own thing as far as like the story goes. But I would say the Wonka, oh sorry, the Oompa Loompa. I mean, if you've seen Hugh Grant's Oompa Loompa, you can see that he's clearly more based on the 71 version rather than the 2000, was it 2005 version.
Okay.
But
But do you have a
yeah.
favorite depiction of the Oompa Loompas?
Do I find so what was that?
Which one is your favorite Oompa Loompa?
Oh
Like,
right, okay.
like if you
um
had to choose from the three, you have the old school, you have the CGI one, and you have Hugh Grant.
I'd go with the old school one. I mean, I liked Hugh Grant's Oompa Loompa. He was pretty cool and everything. But one, he's not in the movie a whole lot to really get to know the character that well. Two, it's he's like one Oompa Loompa, so like that's his character, and that's cool. That's fine. I think what I liked with the original though is, well, one, you don't see him that much, as which to be fair as well, but the fact that they'll just come in when these things go wrong and they'll just sing a song, you know. They'll just sing a
Right.
song when something's gone wrong, and they'll be like, "Oompa loompa doopity." So yeah, I liked that. I think I mean, I liked what they did with Wonka. No, I keep saying Wonka, with Hugh Grant's
Charlie and
Oompa
the
Loompa
Chocolate
in
Factory.
Wonka. The Oompa Loompas in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, though, I just kind of felt like they were bland. They did had the singing, which was cool, but overall, it was one guy that they CGI'd multiple times. It was literally the same guy in different suits, and they just CGI'd him a bunch of different times and had him in makeup in some areas, and it was just the same actor. I was like, okay. To me, it just took away. It didn't feel right with me. I'm not sure if I'm going to explain why, but it just felt off to me that you've got this guy that's and the Oompa themselves. They were just kind of like there, and they had this whole story about how he went to the Oompa Loompa land and was it he offered them cocoa beans or something because they really wanted cocoa beans and said, "You come work with me and give you all the cocoa beans." And I can't remember what it was exactly, but something along those lines.
Yeah,
Um,
it's along those lines. You're not wrong.
yeah. But yeah, I don't know. The Oompa Loompas just didn't. They didn't work for me in a second movie. The first movie, I liked them. Just like the fact that they would just sing these like random songs and tell you off in song. It's call you fat and greedy while singing, you know, or tell you like, oh yeah, gum chewing brightens your smile, but it's disgusting, you know, like just flat out calling you all kinds of whatever, and you know, spoilt brat, and like while singing is like, okay, cool, that's what we do. We're telling you off and singing at the same time.
Yeah, they are the original diss track creators.
Right.
Yeah. You want some inspiration? You go look at the Oompa Loompas.
That's it, man.
They are the OGs at that.
Forget Drake versus Kendrick. It's all about Oompa Loompas versus Veruca Salt. And Veruca Salt never made a comeback, so they won, clearly.
Yeah.
But yeah, how about yourself? What was your favorite version of the Oompa Loompas?
Definitely the 1971. I didn't see Wonka yet, so I can't say if I like Hugh Grant being an Oompa Loompa. But that movie is mainly focused on just Wonka himself, so obviously I wouldn't like. I like the 1971 Oompa Loompas because they were actual actors dancing. They were singing it, I guess more like lip syncing at that point. I don't know if they were singing it. But it was just nice to see multiple people on set as opposed to one continuous CGI copy pasta snake chain. Yeah. It's just I like that much better because it's like, oh yeah, sometimes you can hear them sing funny little songs. And it's like, oh, it is kind of direct. And I think it was also Mike TV's dad pointed that out later. It's like those songs are awfully targeted.
Yeah.
But it's I like the music that much better in the first one when it came to that. And the second one, it didn't have the same zhuzh. It didn't have pizzazz. And it's like, yeah, you could have the different suits, but it's like in the books they were orange little people. So it's like that added mystery and flair. I don't remember them idolizing the cocoa bean, but at the same time, it's just like, okay. And I'm kind of glad that they are who they are because I think that I dare say to make this connection, I think it's a bit of a stretch, but they might have been the inspiration for Gru and the Minions in Despicable Me.
I could see that
because it's like
I could see that
we don't really have any other people that do that. Yeah, we have the Wizard of Oz, kind of like Munchkins. And it's just like, I love the fact that older media has like little people. Is that correct? Politically correct to say little people? You know what I'm saying?
I think so. What was it?
Because I don't want to use the M word.
Yeah.
That's
nice. Dwarfism?
I guess you could say
dwarf. Yeah.
I don't know. Because, okay, what we're learning today, and if I'm wrong and if it's offending people, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to do that. But it's really sad when you have people who are of small stature who want to have roles, who want to have their faces seen. And, Hollywood's just like, no, we're just going to get some actor that we know, and we're just going to plaster them on CGI. And it's disappointing because that takes away from movie magic. And it's just like, oh yeah, we'll just use CGI and then, that's good enough. It's like, but why? You can find someone, can't
lacks
you?
Personality in the end, and for me, I felt it just lacked personality, and it just, didn't sit well with me in the end.
Yeah, and that's why I like the original Oompa Loompas, because they were actual people, like doing the dances. You can kind of believe it. Yeah, okay, they had funny makeup, but they're supposed to be funny looking because they're not real.
Well, are they? Do you remember? I mean, you mentioned about the books. Do you remember the books that much? Because I know I believe I've read both books, but it was such a long time ago for me now. I feel like I don't seriously remember what happened.
Do not remember them. I remember reading the books and then having a really cool assignment afterwards, and I forgot it at home. So no, I do not remember, but I know I've read it, and there are differences. Do I remember it? No. But would I recommend reading it? Yeah, I'll read it with my kids when they get to that age.
They're not long books, I don't think. I think they're both. There's 2 books, and one of them you never hear anybody talking about, but there are actually 2 books in the series. So
Yes.
yeah, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and
then Charlie and the
Charlie and
Glass Elevator.
Great Glass Elevator.
I did not read The Great Glass Elevator. I did not give 2 shits.
Let's see.
So I did not read that one. Whoopsies.
Yeah, just looking if I can find when it was published. BNS somewhere. But yeah, there are 2 books, and I feel like I remember reading both. But yeah, it was so long ago now.
Right.
But Roald Dahl though has become somewhat of a controversial figure in recent years, because there's so many. Yeah, because there's so many, of course, like children's books that he's written, and so many movies based on his books. But as it turns out, people of a certain generation tend to hold certain opinions about people that say don't share their tone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, like
and
Mr. Popper Penguins or something.
yeah, so I think what happened is that there was some resurfaced footage of him talking about some of his ideas on race and ethnicity, and I don't remember what was said in the video. It was a while ago that it resurfaced now. But yeah, I mean, this is a guy, of course, who wrote children's books, and I say a lot of movies based on it, and that's kind of what kicked that off. It's a shame, but at the same time, it's like not surprising either. You know what I mean? It's just people of that generation. It's like it's not a good thing, but at the same time, it's like you can't expect that just because he wrote all these books that everybody kind of loves and adores, that he must have been a nice guy. It's like, no.
No, that's the problem that I think a lot of people have, is that they can't take their entertainment at face value and separate the artist from the art. And it's just like, I can write a story, right? I can write a quick little story and then still have my own thoughts about religion. And if my religious thoughts don't align with yours, I'm instantly a villain, And it could be as simple as like, example. I'm saying example, so people are upset. Example being like, oh yeah, I believe that the Quran is a fake thing and people are just reading squiggles and saying funny voodoo instead of actually just believing that Christianity is the whole and the only religion that should be on the planet. And I'm like, no, like that, no. That's such a silly thought. I'm not like that, but like, at that point, some people can't separate the artist from the art, because that's a big problem that we have with like J.K. Rowling,
Oh yeah. She's probably like the modern day version of Roald Dahl, I guess.
I suppose so. I thought Roald Dahl was still alive. No, he's dead. He's been dead, right?
He died many years ago at this point. I'm not sure. Let's find when. Roald Dahl. He died many years ago. 1990. So yeah, nearly about 30.
I don't know, but I found these results on film. Yeah, that's about right.
But yeah, I mean, the thing about separating artists from the artist, though, I mean, for me, I feel like on one hand, as a creative, everything about you is going to be represented in the things you create in some form of fashion, right? Maybe not always obviously and immediately noticeable, but just your life experiences and everything about you, anything you create is going to be represented in some way. So there's always going to be a connection between the artist and the art that they create. Even though they might have these horrible opinions, and those opinions might not be in this book that they wrote, but somehow, some way, those opinions have, are connected to this thing because they're a part of the artist. They're going to be a part of the book, just not in a way that's immediately obvious. So I get that There's always going to be this connection between art and artists and art, and that's fine. That's how it should be. but also as a consumer, there does have to be somewhat of a separation. I think from an artist's point of view, it makes sense. From a consumer point of view, it doesn't always make sense to put them together like that, because you have something that has informed many children for many generations to do many great things, and that's not deniable. And the fact that it came from this guy who held these, not nice opinions of the people, that's a shame. But it doesn't take away that these books still inspired many generations and still continue to inspire many generations. So I think that that does, from a consumer point of view, there does have to be somewhat of a separation of, look, I appreciate what this art has done for me. The fact that this person has these horrible ideas, that means that I ain't gonna mess with that too much. But at the same time, this has still inspired me to do something, and it has had this impact on my life, and has meant this for me, and so on and so forth. And that becomes your own personal connection between yourself and the art. And the artist doesn't have to be anywhere near that. You don't have to be like, oh, I must love everything they do. And no, it's like, look, that artist was a horrible person, apparently, or at least certainly has some horrible ideas, apparently, as it turns out. But at the same time, these books still meant something to a lot of people for many years, and
yeah, exactly. So it's just really complicated in that sense of the art being, his stories and pushing it. And I mean, without those stories, we wouldn't have movies, we wouldn't have the plays, Same with JK, or what is it? Stephanie Meyer with her Twilight,
Oh, yeah.
It's fine.
Well, Stephanie Meyer said some bad stuff now.
No, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
She's not a great writer, but she made a generation of vampire versus werewolf.
I mean, she basically wrote fan fiction and did well from it. So yeah, fair play.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can't hate someone that actually put themselves out there and then made movies, merchandise. You can hate the hater.
Indeed.
You can be a hater because she's successful.
People are going to write the things that they want to write, and they're going to put it out there. And if it turns out other people like what they write, then it's going to be a thing, right? So
exactly.
I feel like Eddie Murphy said this. He said that even if you have a bad idea, just work on it, because there's so many movies that get made that are horrible ideas, but it gets made because somebody out there was like, I believe in this, and you end up with these crappy movies or all these crappy books or whatever, and it's like, and you sit there, and he was talking about this, God, you might be sitting there thinking, man, how the hell did this even get greenlit? It was like, yeah, because somebody believed in it, somebody's worked hard and got that made. So yeah, whatever idea you have, if you believe in it hard enough, you want to work on it hard enough, just get it out there and see what happens, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we did our favorite characters and we did our favorite Oompa Loompas. So here is the mega question.
All right.
Who is your favorite Willy Wonka actor?
Oof.
Is it Gene Wilder, Johnny Depp, or Timothee Chalamet? Or the play guy, but I don't know who that is.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, if we're going personal favorites, I'm gonna have to go with Gene Wilder, of course, just because, like I say, watching as a kid, watching as an adult, that's the personal connection I have with that movie. But you know what? I've got to give a lot of props to Timothée Chalamet, because Wonka was brilliant in my opinion, and I feel like that's a hard thing to do in this generation, in this day and age. It's a hard thing to do with an adaptation, and it's a hard thing to do just anyway, right? But they managed to pull off.
It's not an adaptation because there's no book on strictly just Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Fair. So it's not quite an adaptation. I guess it's a film based on characters that have previously been established.
Okay. So that's the fanfic.
Yeah, it's fan fiction. Yeah, exactly. It's fan fiction. But yeah,
so
they pulled off a really good movie. They pulled off a really good, brilliant film, and I really liked what. I mean, Timothée Chalamet I've seen now in a few different movies, and I just think he's in general just one of the best actors going right now. I've seen him in Dune Part 2. He was in Don't Look Up. I know he's done some other movies I haven't seen, but those are ones that come to mind. But yeah, I've seen him in a few different movies now, and every single time that guy has just knocked it out the park. So watching this and the character he plays in Dune versus the character Willy Wonka who plays in Wonka, worlds apart, worlds apart. But he knocks it out the park. Like he absolutely nails a character, and he's taken inspiration from the previous movies, even the Johnny Depp movie. You can see some inspiration from there, but it's very much his own thing. They very much made their own Willy Wonka, and not just he's going to do this because they did that. It's very much his own thing. I really like that. I really appreciate that they've done enough to pay homage to what came before, but also were able to create something new in that as well. So yeah, if I have to pick a personal favorite, it's going to be Gene Wilder, but Timothee Chalamet, he was really, really brilliant in that film. So yeah, big props to that.
That's nice. Mine is actually, I actually really like Johnny Depp's.
Johnny Depp. Nobody likes Johnny Depp. Come on now.
No, right, I like Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka more because like the sarcasm on Gene Wilder's, like I think it was a little displaced for me because when I watched it, I was like, and then he had that madness scene when they were going through the tunnel. Oh, yeah, and it got black. And it's just, I was like, this is just so weird. Like, are you supposed to be this psychotic? I don't know. It didn't feel, I don't know, because I didn't feel believable when I was a kid. I was like, this guy's weird. I would not want to go to his factory. If I knew he was like this, I don't want it. I don't want that. And when I see Johnny Depp, I see the imagination side. I like the way that he was like, oh yeah, it's all on fire. Woo! And he's just like more of the don't touch my squirrel, don't touch his nut, like he's kind of reserved, but at the same time he was fumbling because he knew. So it's kind of this more believable thing as opposed to, oh yeah, I'm gonna let spoiled rich kids terrorize my factory. He's like, no, shouldn't do that. There are maybe some legality problems, but like it felt more believable as the character. I'm not gonna say Gene Wilder is like, I don't like him, but I like the rendition that Johnny Depp had, and that's probably because he had more to play with on that, which is weird because it's supposed to be about the kids and not Willy Wonka, and it's called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And they focus more on Wonka than Charlie. But he also didn't have he didn't do a singing either, which was interesting.
There's not much. Only the Oompa Loompas sing in the Johnny Depp movie,
right?
In the 2005 movie.
Right. Because I will never forget Gene Wilder's like The World of Imagination. That is iconic. I love that. It is like so sweet. And it's just like when you first meet him, it's like, oh, I'm a decrepit man. And then I fall into a somersault. Ta-da, welcome to my factory. But then as you get more and more meeting him, you can actually feel the stress of owning the factory when he yells at the end, when he yells at Charlie and his grandpa, good to you. And he's like this, and you can tell that he's really struggling. And it's just like, oh, you are human. And so it's just like, what was the ulterior motive here? Were you trying to send a message back to just kids and then use them for society to see, yeah, I'm struggling just as bad as like parents are struggling to raise their kids properly? Or what is it something else? It really is like this weird connotation versus with the second movie's Johnny Depp, like Willy Wonka. It's kind of this like, no, I'm just this quirky, imaginative, like chocolatier, and I'm running a business, but it's not ruining me. Like I'm just getting old, and I would like to have other people now in my life because it's kind of like I use so many analogies now. It's kind of like when people are like, "Oh yeah, I don't mind being single. I don't mind doing that," and then they're like, "It would be nice to have someone to go on a trip with or share the same moments with," because that was something that I know people are like, "Oh yeah, I could go to the movie theaters by myself, or I could go to a restaurant by myself." But then eventually, you're gonna feel the loneliness because you can't bounce ideas, you can't talk to someone. And that's the humane side that Wonka has in the Johnny Depp film. And I'm just like, that makes sense because he's just been with the Oompa Loompas, just making chocolates, and he doesn't really have that bouncing ideas. And that's what ultimately he wanted. He wanted to fight the loneliness. Then he rekindled with his dad. He had the buckets move into the factory, and they weren't struggling anymore. So they found friendship with Johnny's Wonka, and like everyone got their happy ending in that. With the Gene Wilder one, uh, I wouldn't say they got a happy ending because it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna break through with the glass elevator, and now we're just floating in the sky.
Yeah, I mean, they do get a happy ending in but it's not shown. They just talk about how they move
Yeah.
him and his family into the factory, and the factory becomes Charlie's now. I don't think they actually say what Willy Wonka does after that, but he just gives the factory to the Charlies and to the buckets, and then they supposedly move
And then
in.
he just goes and fucks off. Yay, I'm out.
Yeah, because he goes away. I guess walks into the sunset. The thing with the Johnny Depp Wonka for me, though, that didn't work for me is that it felt like he was more rude than anything else. Like, whereas Gene Wilder was like kind of sarcastic, and he had that balance of you don't know if he's being serious or what or whatever. Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka just came across as he was just being rude. It was just flat out rude. Like there was no
Yeah.
sarcasm. It was just being rude. So I was kind of like, yeah, that's a slap right there, dude. Like that's a across, that's a backhand. But
Would you rather have someone be rude or sarcastic to you? Because then you don't know when he's being serious. So
I mean, in real life, for
yeah,
the movies, I think I prefer the sarcasm. It works better for the
yeah, but
movies.
in real
But
life,
in real life,
like if you were to meet a famous chocolatier, no, if you were to meet your quote unquote I guess a connoisseur of food hero, would you rather them be rude or sarcastic?
yeah, I mean, in real life, I'd rather somebody be rude, that clearly rude, because then you just know where you stand with them, and then okay, that's not a person I need to bother with because they're just rude.
Mm-hmm.
So in real life, I feel like that works because it's like, okay, I know where you stand, I know what your opinions are, I know what you think, I know what blah blah blah, and now I know that you're not somebody I want to be around, so I can just walk away, avoid that situation. When someone's being sarcastic, you're not always sure, you're kind of second guessing yourself. Yeah, that sucks. For the movies, though, I feel like
For the
sarcasm works better.
entertainment.
Yeah, for the entertainment, the sarcasm works better because, like, if you're gonna go, especially with the second movie with Charlie and Chocolate Factory, where it did have a more of a serious tone. If you're gonna go with somebody being rude like that, like Willy Wonka was, then it's like, yeah, one of the parents should have smacked him. Like, one of the parents should have, or at least like squared up with him or something. But like, yo, this guy is just being really just gonna stand there and take it. Like, come on now.
I thought Mike
That's
TV's dad
that's
did kind of
words.
get on his chase.
Did he?
I thought one of them did.
But what did he say? I don't. Am I blanking on that bit then?
Yeah, because like after Mike TV becomes tiny, he comes up and he's like, "You gotta do something about my little boy," or something like. I mean, he's a little boy now. Like that sounded awkward, but I'm not 1,000% sure. I thought because like I remember Violet's mom when she turned into a literal blueberry.
Yeah.
I remember the wide-eyed makeup face just going up and being like,
Yeah.
like, I'm a crack if you don't do something about my daughter. It's like, okay, don't worry, we're gonna fix your daughter, dumb shit.
Yeah. Fix her. Well, kind of make her more flexible, I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna squeeze her. Gonna squeeze it. That sounds really gross.
But yeah. Well, okay. I guess before some of them did say something, but I guess they didn't really say enough in terms of, bruh, this guy takes you around his factory. One kid's falling into a chocolate river. One kid's turned into a blueberry. One kid's falling down a nut hole or something. You know, it's like,
no,
bro,
it was a garbage incinerator.
Yeah, I was like, why is anybody still staying there? Like, there's a point where it's like, if you're not gonna fight this guy, then at least walk away. Be like, you know what? I think I've seen enough. Let's just not be here anymore. Where's the exit?
It's like, thank you for the tour. I hope it's over.
Yeah. In fact,
like,
you know what?
I don't want to jeopardize myself.
In the first movie, they do say something about wanting to get out of this place, but he says no. The only way out is to keep going forward. So they kind of had to go in the first one. But even then, it's like, by the time he gets to the end of it, I'd be like, I'm not sure I want. Oh, I want a factory. Cool. Yeah, I'm not sure I want this factory though.
It's like the only part I want is the candy room, and even then, you ain't selling.
How about you keep the factory? You keep making the chocolate, and I'll just eat the chocolate. How about that? That's
the problem is they get a lifetime of chocolate. Like, they don't get the factory though.
Oh, the lifetime of chocolate. I think they all got that, right? Or then the
one
who
I don't
gets
think
the grand
they got
prize.
that. I thought that was the grand prize.
In the first one or second one?
The first one. Because the second one, there wasn't a grand prize.
Yeah, well, they say there was a secret grand prize beyond anything they can imagine in the second one.
Well, that makes sense.
But I think the lifetime supply of chocolate was for all of them, I think. Or unless I'm blanking on that as well.
Okay. Well, that's nice of them.
But yeah, they got one chocolate bar.
I think Augustus has enough chocolate.
Yeah, he's had enough for the rest of his life, he thinks.
Okay. Here's another segue question.
All right.
So we know that Mr. Beast has his Feastables and he has his challenge videos. Now, did you watch the Candy Factory challenge video?
I did not.
Okay, it's an older video. I think it's 2 years old at this point. And I think it was like short. I don't know. Anyways, so he actually recreates a Willy Wonka style chocolate factory. And the contestants has to go through and try to win. Otherwise, they get knocked out of the competition and they don't get to keep going for the grand prize. So, would you want to try to compete for a chocolate factory?
I mean, I'm just looking up now. Just got the video on my screen. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm assuming the chocolate factory in the video is somewhat similar to the Willy Wonka chocolate factory, or at least as far as being, legal goes.
Yeah. Well, like, little spoiler, like, that he gives. I don't know the conversion rate. Do you know the conversion rate for US dollar to quid?
To quid.
Should I say quid or pounds?
No, sorry. I mean, pounds is the correct term. Quid is more of a slang term, but it's not wrong. It's not wrong, by the way. It's just the way he said it is all. It's just made me laugh.
Oh, it's okay. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm being silly. Don't worry about it.
Okay. No, I think it's really out of character for me, or like personality wise, to just say quid, right?
Yeah, I mean, quid is more like you might say like 5 quid or 10 quid, but you generally wouldn't say like convert this
look
to
where
quid.
there's things.
Yeah. So yeah.
You wouldn't say 10,000 quid.
Well, you might actually 10,000 quid. Yeah, I've got 10,000 quid. Yeah, you could say that. I guess if there's like a number in front of it, you might use quid, like 10,000 quid, 100 quid. You might something like that. But
But you don't just say it flat out without a number.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Like, you generally don't say it without assigning a number to it. But it's fine.
That's how you know I'm not from London. Okay.
Yeah, you're not incorrect. You're not incorrect. I'm just.
It just sounds funny.
Maybe chuckle.
Anyways, so do you know the conversion rate?
So what's it again? $1 million, you said, was it? What's it again?
No, $500,000 US
Okay,
is the
$500,000.
grand
Okay.
prize for that video.
Okay, so that's. I mean, I got a thing to actually tell me exactly how much it is right now by the current conversion rate. I'm just gonna open up because there's an app for that, of course.
Well, there's an app. Well, guess what? I don't have it either.
$500,000 on the current exchange rate is £392,685.50. So what I'll go through that's a big amount of money. I'll do it for that. As long as it's nothing like super dangerous, and you don't have to like do any kind of mad freaky stuff with the chocolate.
No.
Nothing like that.
Do you want me to spoil a little bit of the video?
Yeah, sure. I'm probably not gonna watch it anytime soon anyway. So good.
Okay, so the only part that actually pertains to the chocolate and cooking or something is he has to create a concoction for Gordon Ramsay. You have to impress Gordon Ramsay.
Okay, I want more money then. I don't want more money. I'm not
putting
up with Gordon
I
Ramsay's
think just being able to meet him is a positive.
Nah, I'm not. I'd need a lot more than 400,000 to put up with that guy's abuse. Like, nah, I'd want more money in that case.
I mean, you're not working under him. All you have to do is like use marshmallows, chocolate, graham crackers,
He's gonna cuss me out afterwards. This chocolate, I've tasted better poo than this. Yeah, I'd want more money.
Look at that. We're learning Bandit's tolerances, people. We're going to get closer and closer to that podcast.
If it was just going through some chocolate factory competition, I'm like, yeah, cool. 392,000, 400,000. Yeah, I'm good with that. But I've now got to take some guy's abuse. Nah, I'd want more money than that. It needs to be in the millions, like the high millions, I think.
Oh, wow. I don't think I could do that. Like, I would... If I was for an abuse video, I would definitely try to at least take $50,000 US, which would probably be like 35,000 pounds.
Something like that, yeah.
Because like that's not nothing. But if he's like, okay, I'm going to offer $15,000 US for the next person to get out, I'll be like, I'm out. I'll take 15. I'll go on a quick trip. I don't. Like, yeah, 100,000's a lot, but now I'm gonna get taxed out the ass. Like,
yeah, that's considered too. Yeah. It's like you watch those old game shows where they like, they win some money, and they always say something like, "You could either take what you won now, or you can you can double or nothing, or go for the grand prize." And they have that chance to win like a lot more money, but they could also lose everything as well. And they always go for the option where they, gamble for the more money. And I get it. It makes for good TV, and everybody's out there going, do it. So I get why that happened. But at the same time, the smart choice is, look, if you've won like £10,000 or $50,000, that's a lot of money for vast majority of people in the world. That's life-changing money, actually. Granted, it's not going to be quit your job style money for a lot of people. You still have to work a job.
But you can start a business with that.
Right. You can start a business. You could, or like I say, maybe just go on holiday, travel the world. Buy a business. Oh, there's a lot you can do with, that kind of money.
Agreed.
So the smart choice would be like, if you've won $50,000 and you've got an option to either take that or risk it all for the grand prize of 8 million or whatever it is. It's like, just take the 50,000.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if it is over 15,000 and he's offering a way out, I'm gonna take it, because it's like only one person is going to win like the grand prize, and it's just like, well, I'd rather go home with something than nothing.
Yeah,
that's how I feel, because it's like whoever wins it will have to be there for such a long period of time. I don't want to waste that much time. I actually have things I like to do.
Yeah, I can say the tax. I mean, even the tax on 50,000 is going to be quite substantial as well. So that's not going to be a small tax either, but it certainly be a lot more manageable than trying to pay tax on like $1 million or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I remember watching his first video on. I know we're deviating from our topic, but when he gave away $1 million, and it's just like he actually helped the guy financially spend his money properly and save money at the same time, because that's
good.
not an easy thing. So he's like, after we paid the taxes on the money that I just gave him, we bought, like, I went with him, we bought him his house, we set him up with a nice car, we had an investor help him invest into like stocks that look promising, so that way it'll build more money for him and his family. And it was more of a life-changing 1 million than just being like, okay, you've won the lotto, now fuck off. And like, you can go into financial ruin because you don't know what you're doing. So instead he actually went into that. Now, I don't think Wonka would do that. I think Wonka would just be like, here's my factory, it's destitute, like, good luck with all the chocolate, bye.
Yeah, I feel
And
like
feeding
Wonka
the
would
Oompa
probably do. Yeah,
Loompas.
that's my guess. You know, I liked how you brought it back to Wonka as well. That was nice. That was nice.
Oh,
But
thank
yeah,
you.
like it's one of the reasons why you hear about lottery winners who like they win like big money on the lottery, and then a few years later they're broke. They have less money than they had to begin with because like they don't get a lot of they probably get no support in terms of how to manage that kind of money and how to handle it and what to do, how to pay taxes, you know, all this, how to
Right.
invest and things like that. You know, you just win a bunch of money and it's like, okay, cool. And then boom, it's gone, you know. And yeah, you had your fun or whatever, but yeah, you're broke and have less money than you did when you were poor. Like it's mad, and that's a common thing with lottery winners. So like, yeah, I feel like that's the Willy Wonka. That's probably what happened to Charlie.
No. So
After he
here's
got the factory, he just well after the Great Glass Elevator. I think in the Great Glass Elevator he was okay if I remember. If I'm remembering, but it's a big if.
I never read it.
But
I'm sorry, I didn't read that.
some point after Great Glass Elevator, Charlie is in ruins, and he had to
Really?
get. He's in. It must be. He had. I mean, think about it. It was a kid running a factory. That's not ending well. And he's in charge of
Well,
Oompa
one, he
Loompas.
can't, because he cannot run the factory, because even, well, I guess in that fictional world, kids can hold a job at a factory, right?
Well, there's that. Well, it's yeah. There's legal things
Well,
to
that's
get
if he's
through.
allowed. Because if he's only 8 years old, the youngest age for working, I believe, was 11.
I think about it. He might be a nice guy. Like Charlie's a nice kid, but don't mean he could run a factory. And so it doesn't mean
Yeah,
he knows how to make chocolate. You know, like he still has
no.
to be able to come up with all the good chocolate ideas, right? Can he do that? Can he market? You know, I mean, this guy was like working when people were in there doing like maths and science classes. He has to go get a job, so he doesn't know much about marketing. He's got, I
Yeah,
guess,
he's
he's got
just a
his
kid.
grandparents and parents to, well, his mum to help because his dad's not in the first one. But so he's got help, sure. But I mean, how much do they know about finances? I mean, they're poor. Let's keep it real. Poor people. If we knew about finances, we might not be poor. You know what I'm saying? Let's
I
keep it
mean,
real.
that's why they play Monopoly. Like, we
Right.
still lose in Monopoly anyways.
Exactly. So it's like, I mean, not to say that they can't help, but I'm sure they can help. But how much help can you
But it's
offer when
limited
when you don't have that
information.
experience? So yeah, I feel like some
Exactly.
if Roald Dahl ever wrote a third or fourth book in that series, yeah, Charlie's ruined.
Oh,
He lost the
easily.
factory.
No. Okay, so
That's my guess. He
so
lost the
here's
factory,
how he can fix that. So if
and then
I were
got a
to
job as a
inherit
vet.
it, this is if it was me. If I were to inherit the Wonka factory, I would have sold it to Slugworth, like, quickly.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, because he just wants that small little piece. I'll be like, I can get you the whole factory and then some, if you give me the right price. Because not only would you sign over the legal responsibilities of the debts of the company, but you would walk away scot-free and you'd have the money.
Mm,
So then that would be a very fast transaction. You wouldn't have to assume any of the legal financial burden from the factory that you got directly from Wonka. So instead, you would get this is how I would work. I would process it, like the transfer of the deed of the factory to me, and then I would go to Slugworth and be like, yo, you want this shit? You got to buy me out. Because that's what the other chocolate people wanted. They
mm,
want his stuff. They want his recipes. I'll be like, I would either A, auction it, or B, individually auction each factory recipe out, because it's my business now. I gotta get rid of it. or I would sell the factory. So I would sell the factory, sell the recipes, and then, or I would take it public. Because
what you
there's
could
no
do
way I
actually,
can handle that.
what you
Right?
could do is sell the factory or sell the factory and the Wonka name, but keep the rights to the recipes. That way they can use the
Oh
name,
yeah.
use the factory, but they still got to pay you royalties to use the actual recipes.
See, that's genius. That's smart. Yeah. Because then you could still make the money while like living off of what the factories
Yeah.
gave you. Because you would already, from selling the factory, you would already be able to get out of that poverty little shanty
Oh,
house
easily. Yeah.
in both movies versus not being able to. And it's just like at that point, the grandparents could probably sleep in their own beds as opposed to one giant bed.
But would they
Parents could
want
have
to?
a nice room. I don't know.
They might
I'd
like
probably
sharing a
be like,
bed.
no, you got it. I might have
Playing
to just pay
footsie.
someone. Like, I might have to be like, all right, so you three are dead white. We're going to just leave you here at the shanty house unless you want to get up and help. Because we don't know anything else other than Grandpa Joe working at Wonka, So, oh, ooh,
Oof.
ooh, ooh. He's pushing.
Rolling. He's pushing now. All right.
Yeah, it's hurting.
He's got
Anyways,
opinions on Wonka. He's trying to say, "Mommy,
he wants chocolate.
Mommy, do you really think Johnny Depp is the best Willy Wonka? I'm not sure I agree with you on that." That's what he's saying right now.
He wants to read the book. Okay, well, he's literally pushing it right now. I wish I could show you, or you could feel the pressure. It's
Apparently, reading to your unborn children is a good thing. I'm hearing, like, if you read to them while they're still in your belly, apparently it's a good thing. So
that and music.
hmm.
That's
Did you do
really
that
good.
with Mario? Did you read to him?
No, but he's a good boy. I have to pick him up soon.
All right, cool. All right, well,
But I think that
won't
that
delay you
was
from that too much then.
I think that was all the topics that I wanted us to hit for
Yeah.
these movies because they are old. People should have watched them by now.
Yeah.
But with anything.
Yeah, indeed, we covered quite a lot. I would say just one thing real quick though, because I did watch the play of of Charlie and Chocolate Factory when they were showing that some years back in London. And I would say I haven't been to many theatre productions in my lifetime outside of school when they just kind of make you go, right? I've been
Yeah.
to maybe a couple here and there, some small ones that friends have done, but this was maybe the first and so far the only kind of West End theatre that I've ever been to that I didn't have to go to for school. So yeah, that was a cool experience doing that, and they had like the screens up as well. So even though they had the actors on stage, they had the screens in the background where to kind of emphasize certain things, and it really kind of gave that really cool chocolate factory type feel to it as well. And they had the songs as well. Not all the songs from the movie. They had a lot of their own songs, but of course they did do Pure Imagination. I feel like that's just a classic, really. That's always gonna show,
Yeah.
isn't it? So they did that, and they did one. I think of maybe one or two others that are in the original movie as well that I don't remember right now. But it was mostly songs for the theatre. But overall, yeah, it was a really good show. I don't know if they're still doing it actually. Let me see if they're still running real quick before we depart. But if you do ever get a chance to see Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in theaters.
You mean in theater play?
In
theaters.
theater plays, yeah.
Yeah, in the theater,
I
not movie
definitely
theater.
recommend it. I think they actually might still be showing. Just looking now, tour dates. Let's
That's
see.
so exciting.
Or is this it's just like an old website they haven't updated because there's nothing on it anymore that I've clicked on it. Oof.
Maybe not.
Yeah. Oof. Okay. Wait. Try this again. Yeah, I don't. There might not be. It's an old website they just haven't updated. I'm sorry. So
That's unfortunate.
Oh well. If you ever get a chance to see, if they ever bring it up again, then yeah, definitely recommended.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do believe we've covered just about most, if not all, things Wonka and Charlie, Willy Wonka and Charlie Bucket. Or is there anything else you want to bring up or add, or things we haven't mentioned?
Nestle owns Willy Wonka, and they ruined it.
Oh, I think they did. Yeah, because they did the Willy Wonka chocolates a little while ago, didn't they?
Yes, it's really sad because I was actually looking for all of the old flavors and I was really wanting to find the nostalgic kind of things. And then even nerds now, they only have like these nerd gummy clusters. They suck. They tasted so bad. Maybe it's because I'm pregnant, but they freaking suck. And they stopped making shockers. I can't find everlasting gobstoppers. And like, yeah, I live in Denmark. Okay. All of that I have to like find at specialty stores or like maybe I can get nerds. But like that's like the max. And it's like really disappointing. So it's just like Nestle, whoever is in charge of Nestle needs to be fired and hire like an 8-year-old to bring that shit back.
Yeah, I'm
Because
just.
that it's so sad. There is no good candy from them anymore. And I'm really hurt.
Yeah, I've
That's
just
my
looked at
last two
Nestle Wonka
cents.
chocolate. They're not available anymore. Damn it. But oh well, maybe it's for the best. Maybe it's
No,
for the
I want
best.
shockers. I want my everlasting gobstockers. I want my sweet tart ropes. My candies are gone.
You know what? If you want a really good chocolate that you could probably get in Denmark as well, Lindt truffles, like the Lindt's chocolate truffles, specifically the strawberry and cream chocolate
Those
truffles.
are so good. We do have a
Right?
Lindt outlet. Yeah,
Right?
so we have them.
A Lindt,
Yes.
a Lindt what?
Lindt truffle. Like we have a Lindt outlet.
Oh, like a
So if
shop.
you
Yeah,
go
yeah,
to
yeah,
an
yeah,
outlet
yeah.
mall, we can
Yeah.
we can actually just pick it up by the dozen with our hands or like a scooper and put it inside a bag. So yes, we absolutely know Lindt. That is one of Chris's favorites.
Yeah, they're so good. I mean,
Ghirardelli's okay.
I mean, there is a Lindt shop in London. I've never actually been to it though, but there is a Lindt shop in London that one day, hopefully, I'm gonna go to because apparently they do like a really good chocolate, hot chocolate there, made from, of course, their own Lindt chocolates. Um, but yeah,
But
the
you
Lindt,
shouldn't get it now. It's summertime,
it's always a good time for hot chocolate though.
I guess.
I mean, if it's good hot chocolate, it don't matter the weather.
You'll make it work, is what you're saying.
But yeah, those chocolate
Uh-oh.
truffles, the Lindt chocolate truffles, strawberry and cream ones especially, they're oof.
Oh my
Rough.
God. I
I
could
could,
use chocolate.
yeah, I could eat a whole box of those and not even feel bad about it. Like they're so good.
I don't think you need to feel bad about it because we just talked all about chocolate.
Indeed.
Good chocolate factory.
All right. Well, we talked quite a while about chocolate actually. So yeah, this is quite a lengthy one. But hopefully an enjoyable chat about chocolates. I enjoyed it, and hopefully you enjoyed it too, and hopefully the people enjoyed watching and or listening to us talk about Willy Wonka and chocolate and Charlie and Roald Dahl and everything else we talked about, Slugworth and Wonka. Yeah, go see Wonka if you're not seeing Wonka, by the way. That's my recommendation. Like, it's a great
My
movie.
bad.
I think a lot of people avoided it, and I kind of get why, because I didn't rush out to see it. Like you were saying, it didn't kind of give you that I need to go see this kind of vibe to it. But now that I have seen it, honestly, great film, definitely recommended. So yeah, watch Wonka. But yeah, I think that's it for the minute. So, Celeste, thank you for once again joining me to chat about chocolate
And
for nearly
movies.
3 hours. And yeah, to everybody, thank you for watching and or listening. Oh yeah, drop a suggestion, of course, if you have any ideas or suggestions, topics you want us to talk about, so we can do. But yeah, that's gonna be all for now. So till whenever, if ever, peace. And I've got to go and take it. Hooray!
And now you need to make sure not to go to a Glasgow event where they're going to screw you over.
Yeah, that too.